Stop begging. Start ordering money like you order your morning coffee. Yes, you heard me right. I said order it, just like you confidently tell the barista, "I'll have a cappuccino with extra foam." You don't beg for it. You don't whisper a desperate prayer to the coffee gods. And you don't hope someone overhears your caffeine craving and offers to pay. You walk up, place your order, and expect it to be fulfilled. That's how you should treat money. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, that's easy for you to say. My bank account doesn't even have enough for a small black coffee, let alone a caramel latte. Believe me, I understand that feeling. I know what it's like to wake up, check your balance, and feel your soul leave your body for a moment. I know the frustration of giving, working, and still feeling like money is playing hide and seek. But here's the truth. Money isn't avoiding you. It's just responding to your energy, your command, or lack thereof. You see, most people talk to money like it's a reluctant landlord. Please, I just need a little bit to get by. I'll be so grateful if I could just pay this bill. You beg, plead, and chase, forgetting that you were never meant to be a beggar in the first place. You are meant to be a commander. The universe doesn't reward desperation, it rewards certainty. Think about how you feel when you order that coffee. You don't walk up trembling, wondering if the barista will accept your request. You expect your order to arrive. You even start preparing for it, checking your phone, choosing your seat, already imagining that first sip. You've placed your order, and your belief seals the deal. That is how you command money. Now, let's talk about why this matters. Because if you don't get this right, you'll keep living in a loop of struggle. You'll work harder and harder and still feel like you're running in circles. Begging is an energy that pushes things away. Begging says, "I don't have it, and I might never get it." It affirms lack. It sends out a message of scarcity. And what you send out, guess what? You receive right back. But ordering, now that's a whole different vibration. Ordering says, "I am ready for this. It's already mine." It doesn't question. It doesn't doubt. It expects. And that expectation opens the door for miracles. The moment you stop begging and start commanding, life rearranges itself in your favor. Let's get a bit logical here for a moment. The mind operates like a powerful magnet. Whatever you focus on, you attract. When you keep affirming, "I'm broke," your mind looks for evidence to prove you right. It'll filter your reality until all you see is lack. But when you declare, "Money flows to me freely and easily," your subconscious begins to look for proof of that too. It starts nudging you toward opportunities, creative ideas, and people who can help you manifest what you've already declared. Here's the thing, energy follows direction. If you keep directing your energy toward fear, you'll create more things to fear. But if you direct it toward faith, the whole universe conspires to support you. That's not magic. That's simply alignment. Now, let's make this practical. You can't just say, "I order $1 million," and then sit around scrolling on your phone waiting for it to fall from the sky. You have to align your thoughts, words, and actions with your order. Let's break it down into something you can start doing today. Step 1. Stop talking about lack. Catch yourself every time you say, "I can't afford it," "I'm broke," or "I never have enough." Those phrases are like spiritual cancel buttons. You're literally canceling your order the moment you speak them. Replace them with powerful declarations like, "Money is always circulating in my life," or "Every day I grow richer in ideas, opportunities, and resources." Say it with confidence, even if your wallet is empty. Speak from faith, not from your current circumstance. Step 2. Visualize what you want as if it's already yours. Before you place your order with the universe, see it clearly. Just like you'd imagine the taste of your favorite coffee before you even drink it, imagine the feeling of financial ease. What does it feel like to pay your bills with joy? What does it feel like to give freely, without fear? That feeling is your frequency. It's your order slip to the universe. Step 3. Act in faith. You can't talk prosperity and then act like poverty. If you believe abundance is yours, you have to move like it. I'm not saying spend recklessly. I'm saying stop making decisions out of fear. Give when you're guided to. Invest in yourself. Expect returns. Don't shrink back because of temporary appearances. Faith acts before it sees results. Step 4. Express gratitude in advance. Most people wait until the money comes before they give thanks, but that's not how spiritual law works. Gratitude before the manifestation is what activates it. When you thank the universe for your blessings in advance, you're confirming that your order has already been received. It's like tracking your delivery. You know it's on its way, so you stay calm. And step 5. Stay consistent. You don't order coffee one morning and then panic 5 minutes later, running back to the counter asking, "Did you forget my drink?" You trust it's coming. But that's exactly what people do with their desires. They affirm abundance in the morning. Then by evening they're worrying about bills again. The universe can't deliver an order that keeps changing. Set your intention and hold your vibration steady. Let's have a little fun with this idea. Imagine walking into a cafe called the universe. Behind the counter are angels in aprons, ready to take your order. You step up and say, "I'd like a steady flow of income, multiple streams of prosperity, and peace of mind to go." The angel nods, punches it into the system, and says, "Coming right up." But then 5 minutes later you storm back saying, "Actually, I don't think it's going to happen. Can I cancel that?" The angel sighs, presses cancel, and says, "All right, maybe next time." That's exactly how most people treat their spiritual orders. They don't give the universe enough time to prepare the drink. The key is patience with faith. Every order has a preparation time. Just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not being made. Stay calm, stay expectant, stay grateful. Now, let's address something important. Some of you have been trying this mindset thing for a while and you're thinking, "I've been affirming, I've been visualizing, but my life still looks the same." And I get that. Here's what you need to understand. The universe isn't a vending machine where you press a button and money pops out. It's more like a mirror. It reflects who you are being, not just what you are saying. You can't speak abundance for 2 minutes a day and live in fear for the remaining 23 hours and 58 minutes. You must become the vibration of what you seek. So the next time you catch yourself worrying about money, stop and reframe it. Instead of, "How will I pay this bill?" say, "The universe always provides for me in perfect timing." Instead of, "I never get opportunities," say, "Divine opportunities find me wherever I go." Your words are not just sounds, they are commands. The universe doesn't hear your begging, it hears your belief. Let me tell you a little story. There was a woman who used to constantly pray for money. Every morning she'd say, "Please God, just send me enough to get by." And nothing changed. One day, she got fed up. She said, "All right, I'm done begging. I am a magnet for money, and I call forth abundance now." Within days, she received an unexpected payment, a job opportunity, and a refund she didn't even know she was owed. The moment she shifted from pleading to commanding, everything opened up. Why? Because she aligned with her true power. Money doesn't come from your job. It doesn't come from people. It flows through them. Your supply comes from the divine source. Your job, your clients, your business, they're just channels. When one channel closes, the source opens another. So don't panic when one door shuts. Your abundance is not limited to one route. Keep your faith in the source, not in the channel. Here's something powerful to try today. Every morning, before you check your phone or worry about your to-do list, say this: "I am open and ready to receive divine prosperity today. Money comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. I order wealth, peace, and freedom, and it is done." Say it with joy. Say it with conviction, and then go about your day expecting miracles. Now, let's talk about one more trap: comparison. Stop looking at what others have and thinking, "When will it be my turn?" That kind of energy keeps your order delayed. Their blessing is proof that the system works, not that you've been forgotten. If someone else got their coffee first, it doesn't mean yours was cancelled. It's just being brewed differently. You have to remember, the universe doesn't respond to time, it responds to energy. So if you're radiating lack, you'll stay in waiting. But if you radiate confidence, joy, and expectation, your order will manifest faster. So today, make a decision. No more begging. No more, I hope it works out. No more doubting your worth. From now on, you walk like someone who knows the universe has your back. You speak as one who has authority. You order what you want, not timidly, but with faith. And don't forget to enjoy the process. You're not here to stress about money. You're here to master your energy. You're here to learn how to speak things into existence. You're here to realize that you are co-creating your life, one command at a time. So here's your challenge. Today, place one spiritual order, just one. Maybe it's, I order peace of mind today. Maybe it's, I order a flow of unexpected income this week. Don't overthink it. Just place the order, believe it's being prepared, and act as if it's already yours. Then, come back and share what happens. You'll be amazed by how quickly life responds when you finally start commanding instead of complaining. You have the power, always have. You were never meant to beg for crumbs when you can command banquets. Speak your desires into existence with confidence, gratitude, and expectation. The universe is your cafe. It's open 24 hours a day, and it always says yes to faith. So go ahead, place your order. Your abundance is waiting. And if this message stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment sharing what you're ordering from the universe today. Subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Every week, we'll grow stronger, wiser, and more magnetic to everything we desire. Now, take a deep breath. Smile. Feel that? That's your energy shifting already. You're not a beggar. You're a creator. And your order is already on its way. This is where things start to get really interesting. By now, you've probably started to notice that this isn't just about money. It's about how you see yourself in relation to life itself. When you stop begging and start ordering, you're not just changing your finances, you're changing your entire energy field. You're reclaiming your power. And that power has been yours all along. Now let's be honest, it's not always easy to hold that belief when your rent is due and your bank app looks like it's on a hunger strike. I get it. You might say, well, I've been declaring, I've been affirming, but reality keeps slapping me in the face. And here's the truth. Reality is just old energy showing up. It's delayed mail. It's the residue of yesterday's thoughts. Don't argue with it, replace it. If your outer world hasn't caught up yet, it doesn't mean your new order isn't processing. You have to give the universe time to rearrange the pieces. Think about it like this. When you order coffee, sometimes it takes longer because there are people ahead of you, or maybe they're grinding fresh beans just for your cup. You don't storm out saying, I knew it, I'll never get my coffee. No, you wait. You trust. You might check your name on the cup, but you don't cancel the order. That's the kind of calm faith you need with money. The more relaxed you are, the faster it comes. Here's a secret few people understand. Money loves confidence. It's drawn to it like bees to honey. When you act desperate, money hides. But when you act secure, when you move through life as though you already have more than enough, it starts chasing you. You become magnetic. And this isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You're saying to the universe, I know who I am, and I know what belongs to me. Now, I want to show you a simple framework to help you stay in that commanding energy. I call it the CAFE formula. Since we're already talking about coffee, it fits perfectly. C stands for clarity, A for affirmation, F for faith, and E for expectation. Clarity means knowing what you want and stating it clearly. You can't just say, I want more money. That's vague. If I gave you one coin, technically you'd have more money, but not the amount you meant. You have to be clear. Say, I am open to receiving $10,000 with ease and grace. Clarity sharpens your vibration like a laser. Affirmation is what anchors your order. It's the spoken declaration of what you already believe is true. When you affirm something repeatedly, your subconscious accepts it as fact. And once your subconscious believes, it moves heaven and earth to make it happen. Speak your affirmation daily, out loud. Feel the truth of it in your bones. Money flows to me constantly. I am financially free. Everything I touch prospers. These are not wishful thoughts, they are spiritual orders. Faith is the next ingredient, and it's the glue that holds everything together. Faith is the currency of the unseen world. You might not see the money yet, but faith says, it's already mine. Faith doesn't need evidence. It is the evidence. When you hold faith, you're holding the energy of creation. And finally, expectation. Expectation is the energy that pulls the unseen into the seen. You can't just have faith in silence, you must expect the results. Expect the call, the opportunity, the check in the mail, the raise, the blessing. Expect it without doubt. Expectation keeps your energy open and your mind alert for possibilities. Let me give you an example. There was a man who used to constantly complain about his finances. Every day he'd say, I just can't get ahead. And sure enough, life proved him right. One day, he decided to flip the script. He started saying, everything I need comes to me easily and on time. At first, nothing changed, but he kept saying it. Then out of nowhere, a friend he hadn't spoken to in years offered him a business deal that doubled his income. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. His new words attracted new circumstances. Words are powerful tools. You can use them to build or to destroy. When you say, I'm broke, you're not describing your situation. You're commanding it to continue. But when you say, I'm prospering, you're rewriting your story. Speak like a king, not a beggar. Speak like someone who knows the universe, listens. Now, I know some people roll their eyes at this kind of talk. They say, so you're telling me I can just speak money into existence? And my answer is yes and no. You speak it into vibration first. Then your vibration guides your actions, and your actions open doors. The speaking activates the believing, and the believing activates the doing. It's a full system. You can't separate one from the other. Here's what most people get wrong. They speak affirmations from fear. They say, I'm rich, while secretly thinking, I'm doomed. That's not an affirmation, that's a contradiction. Your words and your emotions must agree. You can't plant rose seeds and expect tulips. When your words and feelings align, creation happens naturally. Let's add a practical ritual for you. Every morning, stand in front of your mirror, look yourself in the eye, and say, I am wealthy, I am abundant, money loves to come to me. Then smile. Feel it. Imagine your reflection smiling back as if to say, finally, you remember who you are. Do this daily for 21 days and watch how your energy changes. You'll begin to carry yourself differently. You'll walk taller, talk calmer, and handle situations with quiet confidence. And that energy shift, that's what money responds to. Because money is energy, it flows where confidence goes. Let's talk about generosity for a moment. Some people think they can't give until they have more, but that's backward. Giving creates flow. When you give, whether it's money, time, kindness, you tell the universe, I have enough to share. That message magnetizes abundance. You don't give because you have plenty. You have plenty because you give. Even if it's a coin, a smile, or a helping hand, give something every day. It keeps your spiritual channels open. Now, don't confuse giving with overgiving. You're not supposed to deplete yourself to prove your worthiness. You give joyfully, not resentfully. You give from overflow, not obligation. The energy behind the giving matters more than the amount. Another secret, stop checking how it's going to happen. The how is none of your business. The universe has a million ways to deliver your order. When you start micromanaging the process, you block the flow. Your job is to hold the vision and act on inspired nudges. If you get an idea, a call, or a sudden urge to do something, follow it. That's the universe handing you your cup. Don't question, just act. You might be surprised by how fast things shift once you stop worrying about timing. The universe is not slow, you are just impatient. Faith takes time to brew, but once it's ready, it pours blessings faster than you can imagine. And if you ever feel doubt creeping in, remember this: you have ordered before and received. You've seen prayers answered, doors open, miracles happen. This is no different. The same power that brought you through your toughest moments is the same power that will fill your life with abundance. So here's what I want you to do this week. Every time you spend money, whether you're paying a bill, buying groceries, or tipping someone, say this silently: there's plenty more where that came from. It's such a simple phrase, but it rewires your subconscious mind from scarcity to abundance. You stop seeing money as something that leaves and start seeing it as something that circulates. Let's make this real for a second. Imagine waking up one morning with absolute certainty that money is never a problem again. Imagine the peace of knowing you are supported, always. You'd walk differently, wouldn't you? You'd smile more. You'd stop saying one day and start saying today. That version of you already exists, it's just waiting for you to believe in it. The truth is, the universe doesn't delay your blessings to punish you. It waits until you're energetically ready to receive them. You wouldn't hand a child the keys to a car until they can drive safely. Similarly, the universe waits for you to embody the vibration of wealth before it pours it out freely. So instead of asking, why is it taking so long? Ask, who am I becoming in this process? When you grow in faith, gratitude, and confidence, your external world can't help but catch up. Everything you desire starts running toward you because you've finally become a match for it. You're not here to chase money. You're here to attract it by being in harmony with it. You're not here to plead for blessings. You're here to declare them. Life isn't testing your worth. It's waiting for your command. So here's your call to action. Take one bold step of faith this week. Maybe it's applying for that opportunity you've been afraid of. Maybe it's raising your prices. Maybe it's blessing someone else financially, even in a small way. Do something that aligns with your new energy of confidence and abundance. And after you do, come back and share your experience. Tell me how it felt to act from faith instead of fear. Tell me what unfolded after you placed your order with conviction. Because I promise, once you start living this way, you'll never go back to begging. You'll never doubt that the universe listens to every word you speak. You are the command center of your life. Every word is a seed, every belief a magnet. Speak with power, believe with peace, act with confidence, and watch your world transform. So, what's your order today? Wealth, freedom, peace, joy? Whatever it is, declare it now. Say it with a smile. Feel it as truth. And then go on with your day knowing your order is already being fulfilled. Your only job is to expect it. Now, before you go, if this message sparked something in you, if it reminded you of your own power, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment sharing your order for the week. Let's make this a space of energy and expectation. And subscribe, because this is just the beginning. We're building a community of powerful creators who no longer beg for life, they command it. Remember, the universe doesn't grant wishes, it obeys commands. Speak yours, smile, and trust that your cup, overflowing with abundance, is already being served.
You cannot give birth to your future while you are still cradling the corpse of your past. That is the first law of spiritual alchemy, the first sword of severance, the first sacred flame that clears the field for new growth. I have watched so many powerful, beautiful souls pray for miracles while refusing to release the memory of their own crucifixion. They cry out for a new life while clinging to the very identity that keeps them chained to the old one. They weep for change while tenderly embalming who they used to be with the tears of their daily attention. And so I ask you, with a love that is fierce enough to be honest, a love that sees not your struggle, but your sovereign strength, what are you still trying to keep alive that your soul has already pronounced dead? The ache you feel, that deep, resonant stuckness, the slow suffocation in the same repeating patterns, it is not because you are weak. It is not because you are broken. It is not because you lack discipline or drive or a faith mighty enough to move mountains. It is because you are over-identified with an old garment. You are dressed in the energy of delay, cloaked in a subtle shame you mistake for humility, wearing the tattered robe of a woman who once learned that she had to earn love, hustle for her worth, or bow to the god of scarcity. But that garment, my love, has become grave clothes, and you are not stuck. You are simply still calling yourself by a name you were never, ever meant to keep. I speak to you now with the voice of spiritual law, with the fire of divine remembrance, with the sword of metaphysical truth that cuts through illusion and sets the spirit free. And I say this with a holy love that desires only your complete and total liberation. Your false identity must be buried. It cannot be negotiated with. It cannot be rehabilitated. It must be spoken dead. It must be surrendered so violently, so completely to truth, that the lie cannot find a single crack in your consciousness to return. No more patching old wineskins with new wisdom. No more whispering decrees of victory while shouting declarations of defeat in the privacy of your own mind. No more dragging the heavy, rotting story of your suffering into the sacred, sunlit sanctuary of your rising. The altar is ready. The tomb is waiting. The Spirit of God, that great and silent power, is hovering. And it asks only one thing. Will you let the old you die? There is a fundamental spiritual principle, a law as real and as reliable as gravity, that has been sculpting your entire existence. It is the law of belief. This law, in its infinite power and perfect impartiality, does not judge what you believe. It does not question your commands. It simply, faithfully, and unfailingly brings your beliefs into physical form. It is the fertile soil of the universe, and it will grow whatever seed you plant within it. Florence Scovel Shinn, a woman who wielded this truth like a sword of light, taught that the subconscious mind is this fertile soil. It is a faithful, unquestioning servant. It takes every word, every deeply felt belief, every repeated thought, and accepts it as a divine command from you, its master. It does not know the difference between a truth that will set you free and a lie that will keep you in chains. It only knows how to obey. It only knows how to create. It only knows how to make your inner world a tangible, visible reality. And for years, perhaps for your entire life, you have been giving this powerful, faithful servant the wrong instructions. You have been a queen living in exile, forgetting her own power and issuing decrees for her own poverty. Every time you have spoken a word of lack, you have planted a seed of scarcity. Every time you have entertained a thought of fear, you have watered the weeds of anxiety. Every time you have accepted a label of unworthy or not enough, you have signed a spiritual contract with limitation, sealed with the authority of your own voice. And the law, in its perfect obedience, has brought you a harvest that matches your seeds. The life you are living right now, every circumstance, every relationship, every number in your bank account, is the manifested evidence of your deeply held beliefs. It is the mirror reflecting back to you the identity you have been unconsciously claiming as your own. Let this realization land in your soul, not as a blow of shame, but as the key that unlocks your prison door. This is not a condemnation. It is your emancipation. To know that you have been the creator of your own limitations is to simultaneously know that you are the creator of your own liberation. The power that created the struggle is the very same power that will create the triumph. You have simply been pointing it in the wrong direction. Imagine for a moment that you were born with a master artist at your side. This artist has one purpose: to paint the mural of your life. But this artist is blind and can only paint what you describe. Your words are the artist's only guide. When you were a child, you learned to describe the world from others. If they described a world of lack, of struggle, of love that had to be earned, you repeated those descriptions. You'd say, "Things are always so hard," and your master artist, hearing the command, would paint strokes of difficulty across your canvas. You'd whisper, "I'm just not as smart as she is," and the artist would paint you into a corner, overshadowed by others. You'd feel a pang of loneliness and say, "No one ever really sees me." And the artist would paint a veil over your face, making you invisible to the very connection you craved. Do you see, beloved? Your artist, this great subconscious power, has been listening. It has been obediently painting the life you have been describing. It has not been judging you. It has been serving you perfectly. The masterpiece of your life that you see before you today is a perfect rendition of your most consistent verbal and energetic instructions. And now you are awake. Now you will take the brush into your own hand. You will clear the old canvas. You will learn to speak not from the memory of what was painted, but from the vision of what you are now choosing to create. Let's bring this down from the clouds and into the soil of your everyday life. Let's look at how this unconscious creation plays out in the moments that make up your reality. Think about money. The woman who carries the deep cellular belief that there is never enough, that she is a creature of lack, lives out this creed with the precision of a prophet. She stands at the grocery store, and as the items are scanned, a knot of anxiety tightens in her stomach. That feeling is a prayer. It is a powerful, nonverbal declaration to the universe. I exist in a state of scarcity and fear. She clutches her purse a little tighter, a physical act of contraction, of holding on, of fearing loss. This posture is a command. When a friend suggests a beautiful vacation, her immediate, unspoken thought is not, "How can I create that?" but "I could never afford that." That thought is a spiritual decree that cancels out possibility. She speaks of bills as enemies, of expenses as thieves. Her language frames abundance as something outside of herself, something to be chased and captured, rather than a current that flows through her. Her faithful servant, the subconscious mind, hears all of this. It hears the prayer of anxiety. It feels the command of contraction. It registers the decree of impossibility. And it works tirelessly to create a reality that matches. It will arrange for unexpected car repairs. It will make her overlook an opportunity for a raise. It will ensure that money flows out faster than it flows in, all in perfect obedience to her core belief. There is never enough. Now, imagine a different woman. She may have the exact same amount of money in her bank account, but she has buried the identity of lack. She has performed the sacred funeral. When she stands at the grocery store, she sees the total, and her prayer is one of gratitude. Thank you for this abundance that feeds my body. I am a center of divine circulation. When a bill arrives, she blesses it. I bless this bill, and I send it forth with love, knowing that as I give, it returns to me pressed down, shaken together, and running over. She speaks of money as energy, as a tool for blessing herself and others. When the vacation is mentioned, her first thought is, "That is for me. Divine intelligence, show me the way." She is planting different seeds. She is giving her master artist a new set of instructions. And the law, in its perfect impartial power, must bring her a different harvest. Her reality must begin to bend and reform around her new belief. Let's look at love. A woman who carries the secret, silent belief that I will always be abandoned walks through the world broadcasting this fear like a radio signal. She goes on a date with a wonderful man, but she is not truly present. She is scanning for evidence of the inevitable end. If he is kind, she thinks, he's just being nice now, but he'll see the real me and leave. If he is busy and takes a few hours to text back, her nervous system floods with the familiar terror of rejection. She is not reacting to him. She is reacting to the ghost of her past. She may become clingy, pushing him away with her neediness, or she may become distant and guarded, pushing him away with her unavailability. Either way, the outcome is the same. Her belief creates the behavior that confirms the belief. She ends up alone and says, "See, I was right. They always leave." She doesn't realize she was the one who wrote the final scene before the play even began. Now, imagine the woman who has buried that identity. She has declared the corpse of the abandoned one to be dead and gone. She enters the date as a whole, complete being. She is not looking for a man to validate her. She is looking to share her fullness. If he is kind, she receives it with an open heart because she knows she is worthy of kindness. If he is busy, she continues to live her own joyful life because her peace is not dependent on his response time. She radiates a frequency of self-love and security. This energy is magnetic. It draws to her a partner who is also whole, who is not looking for someone to fix or to save, but for someone to cherish. Her belief in her own wholeness must, by law, be reflected back to her in her relationships. But there comes a moment, a holy tipping point, where the soul says, "Enough. Let me tell you a story." A parable for this very moment. There was a woman who found herself awake at midnight, drawn to the large mirror in her hallway as if by an invisible thread. The house was silent. The world was asleep. It was just her and her reflection. But the woman in the mirror was not her. Not really. The face was hers, but the eyes held the exhaustion of her mother and the anxiety of her grandmother. The set of her mouth held the familiar tension of unspoken disappointment. The reflection was a living ghost, an archive of every wound and every lie she had ever swallowed. And it began to speak to her, not in sound, but in feeling, a cold wave of recognition. It whispered her secret, cursed names, broke, abandoned, too much, not enough, always behind, forgotten. She felt the old shame rise, the familiar urge to turn away, to go back to bed, to pretend she hadn't seen, hadn't heard. She had spent her life trying to appease this ghost, trying to decorate it, trying to get its approval, never realizing it fed on her attention. But tonight was different. A fire, ancient and slow burning, began to glow in the pit of her stomach. It was a holy revolt, a sacred refusal, and she stood her ground. She did not weep. She did not argue. She looked the ghost in its tired, lying eyes, and for the first time, she spoke not to it, but over it. Her voice was quiet, but it shook the silence of the house. "You are not me," she said. "You are a memory. You are a story. You are a garment I will no longer wear." She took a deep breath, and the fire in her belly rose into her throat. "My name is not a wound. My name is not a number in a bank account. My name is not the opinion of a man who could not see me. My name is a word, spoken by God before the foundation of the world, and that name is whole. That name is beloved. That name is abundance. I do not answer to you anymore." She watched as the face in the mirror did not magically transform. It was still her face, but the light behind the eyes did. The familiar tension in the jawline softened. The echo of the old names fell silent, starved of the belief that gave them life. In that moment, she had not changed her reflection. She had changed her reality. The queen had finally taken her throne. That woman in the mirror is you. And the choice she made is the choice before you now. It is a choice you make not once, but every day. It is a sacred ritual. Here is how you make it. The process of reclaiming your dominion is not complex, but it requires a devotion that is both fierce and gentle. It is a daily rhythm, a sacred practice of realigning your inner world so your outer world must, by law, follow suit. It is a practice in 3 simple sacred movements. Step 1. The sacred burial. The morning crucifixion. Each morning, a new world is born. But you cannot enter this new world carrying the dust of the old one. Before your mind engages with the day's to-do list, before your thumb scrolls through the hypnosis of the world, you must perform a sacred burial. But let us call it by its true name. It is a crucifixion. It is the willing act of nailing the false self to the cross of truth, so that the true self may be resurrected. This is not a passive release. It is a violent, holy act of spiritual command. As you awaken, while you are still in that soft, liminal space between dreaming and waking, speak aloud. Let the vibration of your voice be the first sound that consecrates your space. You are speaking a holy decree over the day. Say with fierce, quiet authority, I now bring the false self of yesterday to the altar, the self of fear, the self of doubt, the self of limitation. I nail you to the cross. The identity that believed in lack, I speak your death. The identity that answered to the name of unworthy, I speak your death. The identity that rehearsed failure and expected pain, I speak your death. You are the lie, and you are now crucified by the sword of my spoken word. It is finished. Now, pause. Take a deep, conscious breath. Feel the finality of it. You have not been cruel. You have been definite. You have chosen truth over familiarity. You have created a sacred void, a holy emptiness where the lie used to reside. This is the necessary prerequisite for resurrection. You cannot fill a cup that is already full of poison. You must empty it first. Step 2. The divine enthronement, the morning resurrection. Now, into that sacred void, you must speak the rising. You must call forth the Christ, the true self. You must enthrone the Queen. The tomb you have just created for the false self must now become the womb for the true self. Stand before a mirror. This is your altar. Look into your own eyes and see the eternal, unshakable light that was never born and can never die. That is who you are. Now speak to her. Call her forth. Speak your new name. Speak your resurrection into being. Let your voice carry the thunder of absolute certainty. I am the resurrection and the life of my divine plan. The tomb is empty. I now rise in the full power and authority of my Christ self. I am the image and likeness of God, and I lack nothing. Every cell of my body is now flooded with the light of divine health. Every corner of my world is now saturated with the presence of divine abundance. Every relationship is now governed by the law of divine love. I am not becoming, I am. And my word is the law unto my world. Heaven and earth now move to make it so. I speak, and the old passes away. Behold, all things are made new. I am the new creation, robed in power, crowned with wisdom, and seated upon the throne of my own consciousness. My word is a scepter, and I point it now at every area of my life, and I say, be perfected. I speak to my mind, and I say, be peace. I speak to my body, and I say, be whole. I speak to my finances, and I say, be abundant. I speak to my path, and I say, be clear. This is my decree, and it shall not return to me void. I am the living, breathing embodiment of divine success. The game of life is not a struggle. It is a joy, and I play it to win. I am fearless. I am powerful. I am unstoppable. The kingdom of heaven is within me, and I now bring it forth into my experience. I am a magnet for miracles. I am a conduit for grace. I am a testament to the power of the spoken word. The lie is dead. The truth is risen. And I am she. Pause for a moment. Let these words settle into your being. Breathe into the woman you have just declared. You are not faking it. You are finally telling the truth. You are aligning your human self with your divine blueprint, and the entire universe rejoices to assist you. Step 3. The embodied walk, reigning in your kingdom. The first 2 steps align your being. This third step aligns your doing. Throughout your day, you must consciously choose to think, speak, and act as the woman you declared yourself to be in the morning. This is the integration. This is where faith becomes flesh. When a challenge arises, you must pause, and you must ask yourself one question. How would the resurrected queen respond to this? How would she handle a condescending comment from a colleague? Not with defensive anger or wounded silence. She would respond with unshakable calm, with a quiet authority that needs no validation, perhaps with a simple, direct statement of truth that reestablishes the boundary of respect. She doesn't need to win. She already reigns. How would she handle a wave of loneliness on a quiet evening? She would not see it as proof of her unworthiness. She would recognize it as an invitation to deepen her relationship with herself, with God. She might light a candle, put on beautiful music, and dance in her living room, celebrating her own magnificent company. She fills her own cup until it overflows. This is not about being perfect. It is about being conscious. Every time you choose to respond from your new identity instead of your old one, you are deepening the groove of your new reality. You are strengthening the neural pathways of faith. You are proving to your subconscious mind that you are serious. You are walking your talk, and the universe, which only mirrors your state of being, must begin to pave a new path before you. Now, we must speak of the turbulence. For when you begin this sacred work, my beloved, you must be prepared for what feels like a storm. This is the moment where most seekers falter, where they lose their nerve and retreat to the familiar tomb of their old identity. But you will not, for you will understand what is happening. When you plant new seeds of truth in the garden of your mind, you are disturbing the soil that has been compacted for decades. The old root systems of fear, lack, and unworthiness will fight for their survival. The process of uprooting them is not a peaceful, silent event. It is a shaking. When you flip the master switch of your consciousness from limitation to abundance, the sudden surge of light can feel disorienting. It will illuminate all the dark corners of your being where the old beliefs have been hiding. Suddenly, you will become acutely aware of just how often you think thoughts of lack, how deeply you feel the fear of rejection, how instinctively you react with anxiety. This is not a sign that you are failing. This is the glorious, undeniable sign that you are succeeding. The resistance you feel is the proof that the old identity is being dethroned. The panic, the doubt, the sudden wave of sadness, that is the ego, the false self, throwing a tantrum. It is the adversary, as Florence called it, making its last stand. It is roaring because it knows its time is up. It sees you standing at the gate of your promised land, and it will do everything in its power to convince you to turn back to the familiar desert of your past. It will whisper insidious lies. This is too hard. It's not working. You actually feel worse. Look around. Nothing has changed. Your bank account is the same. You're still single. You're making a fool of yourself. Who do you think you are trying to be so spiritual? Just be realistic. This is who you are. Accept it. You must learn to recognize this voice for what it is, the death rattle of a lie. It is not your voice. It is the echo of the corpse you buried this morning. And you do not argue with a corpse. When this resistance rises, your work is not to fight it. Your work is not to analyze it. Your work is to speak over it. You simply and calmly substitute the lie with the truth. When the thought, "I'm so scared this won't work," arises, you do not engage. You speak aloud. That is a lie. I am divinely guided and protected, and my faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is already done. When the feeling of lack washes over you, you do not spiral. You place your hand on your heart and declare, "That is an old energy that is now leaving my body. My truth is that I am one with God, and God is the source of all abundance. My supply is infinite and instantaneous." Let us pause here. Take a deep breath into the very center of your being. The outer world, too, may seem to stubbornly hold its old shape for a time. This is the law of germination. When you plant a seed, the most dramatic transformation happens in the dark, beneath the surface. For days, even weeks, it may look like nothing is happening. But underground, a universe of activity is unfolding. The seed is cracking open. Roots are pushing down. A sprout is fighting its way toward the light. Your word is that seed. Your declaration is the law that has already been set in motion. The manifestation you see with your physical eyes is always a lagging indicator of the spiritual reality you have already created with your word. Your only job is to water that seed with your continued faith, to keep the soil of your mind clear of the weeds of doubt, and to trust the divine timing of the harvest. Do not dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. It is. Trust the law. And so we arrive at the threshold. A final luminous truth and a choice that will define the rest of your days. The truth, which I pray you will let settle into the very marrow of your bones, is this: you are not broken. You were never broken. You are not a human being struggling to fix your flaws and earn your way to a distant heaven. You are a perfect, whole, and magnificent spiritual being who was hypnotized into a temporary amnesia. You forgot your own divinity. You forgot your power. You forgot your name. And your work is not one of self-improvement. It is one of divine remembrance. The I am within you, the Christ consciousness, the spark of God, it is and has always been utterly perfect, whole, and complete. It is simply waiting for you to turn your loving attention toward it. And now, the choice. It is a choice of identity. Which self will you now claim? Will you continue to animate the ghost of your past, a small self defined by wounds and limitations? Or will you finally step into the radiant, powerful body of your truth, the divine self who knows only wholeness, abundance, and love? You cannot live in two worlds. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot wear the crown of your divinity while still clutching the rags of your old suffering. The tomb has been prepared. The word has been given. The spirit of life is listening, waiting for your final decree. It asks you now, as you stand at the doorway between who you have been and who you truly are. Will you give the old you the honorable burial it deserves, so that the real you, the magnificent you, can finally, fully, gloriously rise? Your future is not waiting for a sign from the heavens. It is waiting for a command from your own lips. And now I will speak not to you, but as you. I will model the voice of the risen one. Let this rhythm enter you. Let it become the new cadence of your soul. This is not just an affirmation. It is an activation. This is the lightning strike of sacred ceremony. I die to fear. I rise in faith. I die to doubt. I rise in knowing. I die to lack. I rise in abundance. I die to the lie of my smallness. I rise in the truth of my divinity. My mouth is a holy weapon. With it, I speak death to every chain. My tongue is a scepter. With it, I command my world into divine order. My breath is a fire. With it, I burn away the residue of every old story. I bury the woman who waited. I rise as the woman who creates. I bury the woman who pleaded. I rise as the woman who commands. I bury the woman who apologized for her light. I rise as the woman who is the light. The chains of my ancestors do not bind me. I am the one who breaks them with my word. The curses of my bloodline end with me. I am the one who speaks the blessing. The patterns of my family do not define me. I am the one who establishes a new heaven and a new earth right here, right now. I speak to the mountain of debt and I say, be removed. I speak to the history of heartbreak and I say, be dissolved. I speak to the body of pain and I say, be made whole. I speak to the spirit of delay, and I say, you are powerless here. For I am the daughter of the King. I am the heir to the kingdom. I am the living temple of the Most High God. And in my house, only miracles are welcome. In my world, only grace has dominion. In my mouth, only truth has a voice. The old is gone. The counterfeit is crucified. The past is a tomb, and I have rolled away the stone. I am not healing. I am risen. I am not becoming. I am. I am not hoping. I am. I am not trying. I am. And so it is. And now, a final deep breath. Let the silence integrate the word. To seal this sacred work, to anchor this new decision in the physical realm, I invite you to make a public declaration. Not for me, not for others, but for yourself. Let this be your first act as the conscious commander of your life. In the comments below, write these words. Feel their power as you type them. Let it be a holy contract with your own soul. Write, I am ready to lead my subconscious mind. Let this be your announcement to the universe that the old ruler is gone. A new queen has taken the throne. A new story has begun. For as long as you believed you were the effect, you were at the mercy of the world. But the moment you remember you are the cause, the world is at the mercy of your word. So I ask you one last time, beloved soul, what will you call yourself now? The answer is not floating in the cosmos. It is waiting on your tongue. It is as close as your next breath. Speak, and watch your new world be born.
The universe is never late. The universe is exact, precise, and governed by a law that never fails. It is not a respecter of persons, but it is a respecter of faith, of word, of vibration. The idea that someone will send you 120 millions and only 5 minutes remain is not a dream of chance. It is the divine spirit whispering that wealth, abundance, and miracles move swiftly when you are aligned with the higher law. What is delayed for years in human effort can arrive in a moment through divine channels. Money is a symbol, and symbols move according to thought. Every coin, every bill, every figure written upon a check, every transfer of digital wealth is first conceived in the invisible, the realm of mind and imagination. The 120 millions is already yours in spirit, waiting for your recognition, waiting for your fearless acceptance. When you say, yes, this belongs to me by divine right, in perfect ways, you open the door. The door swings wide, and what seemed far away rushes to you like a river breaking through its dam. The human mind believes in time, in struggle, in delay. It says, how can millions arrive in 5 minutes? But the higher law does not measure in hours or days. It measures only in receptivity, in readiness, in the quickening power of the spoken word. In the twinkling of an eye, what you call a fortune may manifest. The spirit knows no distance, no limitation, no obstacle. What is decreed in faith is established in form. Imagine the clock ticking down, 5 minutes left. And in those minutes your thought becomes radiant, your expectation unwavering. You know beyond reason that the supply is at hand. You are not anxious, for anxiety blocks the flow. You are not doubtful, for doubt ties the hands of the divine. Instead, you are joyous, grateful before it comes, praising the unseen as though it were already here. In truth it is. Wealth moves by channels known and unknown, and often the blessing arrives from a direction you least expect. Perhaps a letter, a message, a transfer, a gift. Perhaps through the hand of one person, or through many. But do not concern yourself with the method. Leave the manner to infinite intelligence. Your part is to prepare the ground of your heart, to clear away resentment, fear, and disbelief, to hold fast the picture of overflowing riches and declare it real. The 120 millions is not a fantasy, it is substance clothed in numbers. Those numbers are a garment for the infinite abundance of spirit. You are worthy of it. You are chosen for it. You are prepared for it. Money in great measure comes to those who dare to accept without trembling, who dare to claim without apology, who dare to believe without sight. And when you stand in faith, the law rushes to fulfill itself. 5 minutes is more than enough for a miracle, for with the divine, the miracle is the natural order, and supply is swift as thought. Wealth is already yours in spirit, awaiting recognition. This truth is as ancient as the universe itself, and yet it feels new each time one dares to grasp it. In the invisible realm, where thought is seed and imagination is soil, all things exist in perfection, already formed, already waiting for the individual who will step forth in bold recognition. When we speak of wealth, the world immediately imagines coins, paper, numbers, and possessions, but the true origin of wealth is substance, an invisible reservoir of abundance that precedes all form. Before the first coin was minted, before the first transaction was written in ink, wealth existed as an idea in the divine mind, and it still flows endlessly, without interruption. In that higher realm, the common mind looks outward for wealth, thinking it must be pursued, earned with strain, or wrestled from others in competition. Yet the higher law teaches that what you seek outwardly is already complete inwardly. You do not chase wealth, you awaken to it. You do not fight for prosperity, you recognize it as already secured for you by the eternal law of supply. This recognition is not a vague wish, nor a fleeting desire. It is a firm inner knowing that beyond appearances, your good is already done. Every soul carries within a spiritual bank account, one that cannot be depleted, one that grows richer each time you affirm your unity with the source. To think otherwise is to live in illusion. Lack, scarcity, and poverty are shadows born of false belief, and like shadows they vanish when light shines upon them. Wealth, by contrast, is light itself, ever present and ever ready to take shape in your affairs. The moment you recognize it, the invisible becomes visible, the unseen takes form, and what seemed like chance or miracle is revealed as law fulfilling itself. The recognition of wealth is an act of faith, and faith is not passive but creative. To say wealth is already mine, with conviction, is to set currents in motion that draw form to substance. Faith does not beg, it does not plead, it does not wait in doubt. Faith declares, accepts, and prepares. When the farmer plants seed, he does not question whether the harvest will come, he tends his field with certainty. In the same way, recognition of wealth is planting the seed of truth in the soil of your mind, watering it with words, and guarding it from the weeds of fear and disbelief. The mind that refuses recognition of wealth continues to live in cycles of want. It looks upon bills with dread, opportunities with suspicion, and others' prosperity with envy. It believes that abundance is outside itself, rationed, scarce, or controlled by chance. Yet the moment recognition dawns, the pattern shifts. The bill becomes an opportunity for provision. The opportunity becomes a channel for increase, and the prosperity of another becomes a signpost pointing to what is possible for all. Recognition transforms vision, and vision transforms experience. Every great fortune in history began as recognition. The inventor recognized a possibility unseen by others. The artist recognized beauty in forms others overlook. The merchant recognized value where others saw none. This recognition was first spiritual, an idea, a picture, a knowing, and then it became physical, clothed in matter, shaped by effort, and visible to all. So too with wealth itself, it begins not in bank vaults or stock exchanges, but in the invisible substance that yields to thought and belief. The reason so many toil without increase is because they wait for proof before believing, when in truth proof is the child of belief. Recognition comes first. To say, I will be wealthy one day, is to postpone the harvest. To say, I am wealthy now in spirit, and my good is unfolding, is to claim the harvest already ripened. The inner word shapes the outer world. You cannot wait for millions to appear before you believe in wealth, for the appearing is summoned by the belief. Recognition is not only spoken but lived. It is shown in how you handle even the smallest supply. To recognize wealth in spirit is to treat every coin, every dollar, every act of exchange as holy substance, a sign of infinite increase. One who despises small things blocks the way for greater things. But one who honors even the little knows that the same spirit, that fills a purse with coins can just as easily fill an account with millions. Recognition is reverence, and reverence multiplies. Imagination is the great tool of recognition. To picture wealth, to feel the joy of it, to act as though it already belongs to you, is to magnetize it from the invisible to the visible. The picture held with faith is the mold into which substance flows. Many lose themselves in worry, picturing bills unpaid and futures uncertain, and thus they pour substance into molds of lack. But the one who holds firmly to the picture of abundance, who feels it now, not later, shapes substance into the forms of prosperity. Recognition requires discipline of thought, for every doubt is a crack in the mold, every fear a distortion in the design. Yet with persistence the image remains pure, and the flow of supply cannot be hindered. Words, too, are instruments of recognition. To speak lack is to deny the truth of spirit. To speak wealth is to affirm what already is. Each word is a decree, and the law obeys. When you say, "I never have enough," the law rushes to fulfill it. When you say, "I always have more than enough," the same law hastens to bring it forth. The unseen responds not to complaint but to command. The recognition of wealth is sealed when the tongue speaks only increase, only sufficiency, only plenty. Recognition also requires release of resentment, for resentment ties the soul to lack. To envy another's gain is to confess disbelief in your own. To begrudge another's success is to blind yourself to your own channels of increase. Recognition sees the abundance of others as proof of the universal law, as evidence that prosperity is no respecter of persons, and that your own portion is secure. When you rejoice in the wealth of others, you multiply your own recognition, and the universe answers with multiplication. Even in times of outward scarcity, recognition sustains. The bank account may look thin, the cupboard bare, the opportunities distant, but recognition declares, "This is only appearance. The truth is abundance." Appearances shift and dissolve, but substance remains. By holding fast to recognition, you invite new channels to open, unexpected supply to appear, and sudden increase to flow. Recognition is stronger than circumstance, and circumstance bends to recognition. To live in recognition is to walk daily as though wealth surrounds you, for indeed it does. It is to move with confidence, to give generously, to speak affirmatively, and to expect continually. Wealth is not something you chase across time, it is something you acknowledge in the eternal now. Each time you recognize it, you step more fully into alignment with the infinite storehouse, and the invisible treasury pours itself into your visible life. Time is no barrier to divine supply. Miracles move swiftly. In the realm of spirit, there is no clock, no calendar, no schedule bound by human limitation. What the human mind imagines as years of waiting, the divine completes in a single instant, for in truth there is no delay in the operation of law. Delay exists only in consciousness, when fear or doubt interrupts the flow of what is already prepared. The higher law knows no postponement. The harvest is always ripe. The supply is always complete, the miracle is always present, and the only measure is the readiness of the soul to receive. Human beings are taught to measure life in minutes and hours, in deadlines and schedules, but the invisible does not operate by these constructs. Supply is immediate, for it exists outside of time. The mind that is bound by hours will say, "It cannot happen now, perhaps it will take months, years, or even decades." But the spirit whispers, "Now is the appointed hour, now is the day of fulfillment, now is the moment of manifestation." Miracles do not require the passage of time, only the clearing of the mind. When faith is established, when recognition is complete, the supply appears as swiftly as lightning illuminates the night sky. Miracles are natural, not extraordinary. They are the normal operation of a higher order that humanity has grown blind to. Just as a seed bursts forth when the season is right, so too does supply appear the moment the conditions of belief are ready. A seed does not struggle to grow, it simply waits for alignment with soil, water, and sun. Likewise, abundance does not struggle to manifest, it waits only for alignment with thought, word, and expectation. Time does not delay it, for spirit does not know time. Spirit knows only readiness. Many lives are lived in waiting, not because the law is slow, but because the individual consciousness has not yet released resistance. Doubt, fear, and disbelief are the true delays, not the ticking of a clock. One may labor for years, chasing wealth by human means, and yet remain empty, handed because the mind has not surrendered to the truth of instant supply. Then, when the moment of realization comes, when the soul at last declares, "It is mine now by right, by law, by spirit," the wealth that seemed withheld arrives at once, often in such speed and measure that it astonishes the mind. What appeared impossible for decades is fulfilled in minutes, not because the miracle was slow to arrive, but because recognition was slow to open. Time itself is an illusion created by the human mind to measure change, yet spirit is changeless and eternal. In this eternal state, all supply already exists, all abundance already formed, all good already complete. You are not waiting for the future to bring wealth. Wealth is waiting for you to awaken in the present. The present moment holds every treasure, for in the timeless now all things are finished. The idea of needing years to accumulate, build, or achieve is the belief of the material world, but the spiritual world holds that what you recognize now is what manifests now. When you say, "It may take time," you bind yourself to the chain of delay. When you say, "It is mine already," you set yourself free into instant manifestation. Miracles move swiftly because they bypass the slow machinery of human reasoning. Reason insists upon steps, upon processes, upon probabilities. Spirit cares nothing for probability, for it deals in certainty. The sudden appearance of supply, the unexpected windfall, the unforeseen blessing, all of these are the natural expressions of a law that works outside the bounds of calculation. When faith calls, the miracle responds immediately, regardless of whether reason deems it possible. To spirit, nothing is too sudden, nothing is too large, nothing is too difficult. The swiftness of supply often startles those who are unprepared. They believed perhaps in a gradual increase, a slow unfolding, a trickle before the flood. Yet the law does not trickle, it pours. The harvest does not come one grain at a time, it bursts forth in abundance. In the same way, the supply of money, opportunity, and favor often appears suddenly, as though overnight. To the untrained mind, this feels miraculous, but to the awakened soul, it is simply law fulfilled without resistance. The idea that miracles take time is rooted in human habit. The mind has been conditioned to struggle, to work, to earn through sweat and effort. It cannot comprehend that spirit bypasses all limitation. The law is effortless. The tree does not strive to bear fruit, it simply abides in its nature, and the fruit appears. The river does not struggle to flow, it moves naturally along its course. Likewise, supply does not struggle to arrive, it flows without hindrance when belief is aligned. The miracle is not forced, it is allowed. When allowed, it rushes swiftly, unhindered by hours or years. The swiftness of divine supply reveals itself most clearly in moments of great faith. When all human help is gone, when the deadline approaches, when nothing visible remains, the miracle often appears in its most dazzling speed. A debt paid at the last hour, a door opened when all seems shut, an answer arriving just before the need becomes unbearable. These are not coincidences. They are proofs that the law of supply is not bound by human schedules, but by divine timing, which is always perfect and always now. Those who live in constant expectation of swift supply see it often. They do not say, "It will come someday." They say, "It is coming now." They look upon the passing of minutes not as delay, but as the countdown to manifestation. They carry within a vibration of immediacy, knowing that the universe is never late, never hesitant, never reluctant. The universe responds in the moment the soul is prepared, and the response is always swift. Miracles move swiftly because the divine delights in demonstration. Spirit does not dole out crumbs or delay its gifts to test endurance. Spirit moves in suddenness, in overflow, in shock and wonder, because its nature is abundance. The swiftness is proof of the reality of law, evidence that what belongs to you cannot be postponed when faith is established. What seems too fast for reason is the perfect speed of spirit. To the one who believes, it is natural that millions may appear in minutes, that opportunities may open instantly, that wealth may change hands without notice. To the one who doubts, such things seem impossible, and thus they remain impossible. Time is no barrier, for spirit knows no barrier. The supply of wealth is like light. The moment you open the shutters, light floods in. It does not wait politely at the threshold, it rushes in with instant brilliance. The moment faith opens the shutters of the mind, supply pours forth in the same manner, immediately, fully, and without hesitation. What takes years in darkness is fulfilled in moments of light. The swiftness of the miracle is its natural pace, for spirit has no delay in giving and no reluctance in bestowing. Gratitude and faith open the door to abundance. Within the unseen storehouse of the universe lies every good thing prepared, every treasure complete, every supply waiting for the call of recognition. Yet the key that swings the door wide is not striving, not struggle, not anxious labor, but the simple yet powerful attitude of gratitude joined with unwavering faith. Gratitude is the song of acknowledgement, the declaration that the gift is already given, while faith is the inner sight that sees beyond appearances into the reality of abundance already secured. Together they form a magnetic current, drawing wealth, opportunities, and miracles into the visible world with ease. Gratitude is not mere politeness or courtesy. It is a force, a vibrational current that aligns the soul with the flow of increase. When you give thanks for what you have, you multiply it. When you give thanks for what is unseen, you hasten its manifestation. Gratitude affirms that the supply is real, present, and trustworthy. To complain is to shut the door, to dwell in lack, to affirm absence. But to give thanks, even in the midst of apparent lack, is to declare that Spirit has already provided, and that provision is unfolding now. Gratitude does not wait for the evidence, it creates the evidence. Faith, on the other hand, is the power that sustains gratitude. Gratitude without faith is shallow, easily shaken by appearances. Faith without gratitude can become rigid, a mere demand upon the law. But together they form the perfect pair. Faith sees the invisible. Gratitude praises it as though it were visible. And the universe responds by making it visible. Faith is the root, gratitude is the blossom, and abundance is the fruit. Consider the individual who awakens each morning with the words, "Thank you for this day. Thank you for the wealth that flows to me. Thank you for the unseen supply that is even now rushing into my life." This individual may not yet see riches in their account. Yet by speaking gratitude as a decree, they are affirming possession in the invisible. Faith undergirds the words, knowing that Spirit cannot fail to respond. Soon circumstances shift, opportunities appear, channels open, and what was once only praised in faith becomes manifested in form. Gratitude has called it forth, and faith has held it steady. The ungrateful heart lives in perpetual lack. It notices only what is missing, it complains of what it does not have, and in doing so, it multiplies scarcity. Every complaint is a declaration of insufficiency, and the law fulfills what is declared. Gratitude reverses this curse. It turns the gaze from absence to presence, from loss to gain, from despair to hope. The grateful soul declares, "All that I need is already mine." And so it becomes. By giving thanks for the unseen, you affirm its reality and invite its swift arrival. Faith is the assurance that what you have thanked for in spirit will soon appear in matter. Faith does not waver with the winds of circumstance. When bills loom, faith says, "This too is provided for." When doors appear shut, faith says, "Another door already stands open." When the future seems uncertain, faith says, "The path is prepared." And it is good. This inner certainty keeps gratitude alive even when appearances tempt you to despair. Without faith, gratitude falters in the face of difficulty. With faith, gratitude becomes unshakable and radiant. Gratitude and faith together act as a magnet for abundance, because they transform your vibration. Spirit responds to vibration, to the inner tone of thought and feeling. Fear repels, doubt blocks, ingratitude delays, but gratitude attracts and faith anchors. To dwell in gratitude is to live in harmony with the law of supply, for the law gives more to the one who acknowledges more. To dwell in faith is to rest in the certainty that what is unseen is more real than what is seen. Together, these forces align you with the current of prosperity, and prosperity flows naturally to you. Gratitude is creative imagination put into words. When you thank Spirit for the millions already on their way, you are painting a picture in the invisible. Faith holds that picture steady, refusing to let it blur or fade when the outer eyes see nothing. Soon the picture becomes form, just as surely as a blueprint becomes a building. The architect does not wait to thank the workers when the structure is complete. He thanks them even while the ground is still bare, knowing the blueprint is as good as finished. Gratitude works the same way. It thanks the unseen as though it were already manifested, and the unseen becomes seen. The beauty of gratitude is that it multiplies even the smallest things. A single coin, when received with thanksgiving, is the seed of a fortune. A small opportunity, when praised with gratitude, blossoms into greater opportunities. The grateful heart does not despise small beginnings, it blesses them, and the blessing multiplies. Those who complain over small things block their own increase, but those who give thanks for small things open the channel for great things. Faith sustains this process by keeping the mind fixed on the truth that increase is inevitable. There is also a mystical power in gratitude spoken in advance. To thank Spirit for the millions not yet in your hands is to declare that they already exist in substance. The law of supply does not differentiate between present possession and future expectation. It responds to the vibration of gratitude as though the gift were already given. Faith reinforces this by assuring the soul that what is unseen is more enduring than what is visible. Thus, advanced gratitude joined with unwavering faith draws the unseen swiftly into sight. Gratitude heals the heart of resentment, for resentment poisons the channel of supply. When you are grateful, you cannot envy, you cannot begrudge, you cannot despair. Gratitude turns the focus away from what others have and toward the abundance of Spirit that is equally available to all. Faith strengthens this by affirming that your portion is secure, that no one can take what belongs to you by divine right. Gratitude rejoices in the good of others, knowing it heralds your own, and faith declares that your own good is inevitable. Even in times of trial, gratitude and faith keep the door open. The grateful soul says, "Thank you for the lesson hidden here. Thank you for the good already unfolding." While faith whispers, "This too shall pass," and greater supply will come. Together they shield the heart from fear and the mind from despair. Many have found that their greatest breakthroughs came not from desperate pleading, but from calm gratitude and unshaken faith, spoken in the very hour when appearances gave no reason to hope. This combination creates the perfect atmosphere for miracles. For Spirit delights in responding to a heart that already sings thanks and a mind that already sees fulfillment. Gratitude and faith are not acts you perform once, but a state you cultivate daily. They are habits of mind and spirit, practiced until they become natural. The one who lives continually in gratitude and faith becomes a continual channel for abundance. Supply flows not in occasional bursts but in steady streams, because the door is always open, the channel always clear. Gratitude and faith are the posture of one who knows the law, trusts the law, and rejoices in the law. When held steadfastly, they become the greatest secret of wealth, for they keep you aligned with the infinite storehouse, where abundance is already prepared, waiting only for your recognition. Do not focus on the channel. Infinite intelligence chooses the way. The supply of wealth, opportunity, and blessing does not depend upon the narrow vision of human reasoning. It does not come merely from the job, the business, the person, or the investment you imagine. These may be channels, but they are not the source. The true source is infinite intelligence, the great organizing principle of the universe, which knows all ways and all means. To fix your attention upon one channel is to limit the law, to bind it with your expectation, and to block the flow of abundance that might otherwise come through unexpected avenues. The human mind often insists that it knows how supply must appear. It says, "If I could only receive this promotion, then I would prosper. If only this person would lend me the money, then I would be secured. If only my business succeeded, then I would be wealthy. Such thoughts confine the vastness of spirit to the narrow corridor of human imagination. But spirit is never confined. Spirit has infinite channels, infinite pathways, infinite messengers. To look only to one is to risk disappointment. But to trust infinite intelligence is to open to surprises, sudden blessings, and swift miracles. When you release your grip upon the channel, you free the law to act. It may use the very channel you imagined, or it may open one you never considered. Wealth may arrive through a stranger, through a forgotten investment, through a chance meeting, through a door that had seemed closed for years. Infinite intelligence weaves all circumstances together with perfect timing and precision, and it is not for the human mind to dictate the pattern. The mind's task is to hold to the vision of abundance, to affirm the supply as already complete, and to trust that the manner of delivery will be perfect. To focus on the channel is to live in strain. You watch one door anxiously, waiting for it to open, worrying it may remain closed. Yet the universe holds countless doors. If one remains shut, another is already wide open. The one who trusts infinite intelligence does not panic at closed doors, for they know the source is never diminished. They turn from the closed door with gratitude, certain that another channel, greater, swifter, more suitable, is already prepared. The supply is never lost, only redirected. Infinite intelligence has access to every resource, every person, every condition. What you cannot see, it sees. What you cannot arrange, it arranges. What you cannot imagine, it has already prepared. To limit supply to one expected channel is to cut yourself off from the vastness of the unseen. But when you say, Spirit knows the way, and I release all attachment to how it comes, you allow wealth to appear in forms that astonish you. The law works more swiftly and more fully when you remove your interference. Those who trust only one channel often fall into despair when that channel fails. They think the supply is gone, the opportunity missed, the blessing lost, yet the supply is never gone. It cannot be lost, for it exists eternally in spirit. The failure of one channel is often the sign that greater channels are waiting. What seems like loss is only redirection. What seems like delay is often the clearing of the path for something larger. To the eye of faith, no channel is final, for infinite intelligence is never exhausted. Consider the river that flows to the sea. If one branch is blocked, the water simply diverts, finding another course. The flow does not stop, it merely chooses another way. In the same way, wealth flows continuously from the source. If one path is blocked, the law immediately finds another. When you release your dependence on the blocked path, you discover the abundance rushing toward you from another direction. To focus only on the blockage is to despair. To trust the source is to rejoice in the endless possibilities. Infinite intelligence delights in unexpected ways. It may answer through what appears to be coincidence, through the generosity of another, through a sudden inspiration, or through a reversal that turns into blessing. These surprises are the signature of spirit, which works beyond the narrow logic of the mind. The one who insists upon a particular channel often misses these signs, for their gaze is fixed too narrowly. But the one who trusts the law notices the hidden threads of blessing, sees the pattern unfolding, and marvels at how perfectly the supply appears from the least expected direction. Faith is required to release attachment to the channel. Faith says, "My good is secure, though I know not how it will arrive." Faith rests in the certainty of supply, while the mind frets over details. Faith allows infinite intelligence to act, knowing that its wisdom surpasses human reasoning. To cling to the channel is to live in worry. To release it is to live in peace. When you say, "Spirit is my supply, and I welcome it in perfect ways," you cease to block the current, and the abundance flows unhindered. There is great freedom in releasing the channel. You no longer strain to control people, circumstances, or events. You no longer live in fear of losing a job, a client, or a source of income. You know that even if one stream dries up, the river itself is endless, and another stream will soon appear. This freedom allows you to live generously, to give freely, to act boldly. For you are no longer bound by dependence upon one source. Your trust is in the infinite, and the infinite never fails. Infinite intelligence may use the most ordinary channel in extraordinary ways. A simple conversation may lead to wealth. A forgotten contact may open a door. An overlooked talent may become a source of income. The manner is always precise, always perfect, always beyond what the mind could calculate. To dwell upon one imagined path is to blind yourself to these possibilities. To release and trust is to awaken to the infinite creativity of spirit, which delights in surprising those who believe. When you demand a specific channel, you narrow the flow. It is as though you ask the river to pass only through one pipe, while countless others stand ready to carry its water. But when you release the demand, the river flows wherever it finds the greatest ease, rushing toward you in the swiftest, fullest measure. Infinite intelligence does not require instruction, it requires only permission. Your permission is given when you cease to dictate the way and begin to affirm only the certainty of supply. The great truth is that your wealth does not depend upon one person, one job, one opportunity, or one investment. These are instruments, not the source. The source is infinite and eternal. When you remember this, you cannot be shaken by appearances. Even if every visible channel were to vanish, the invisible source remains, and it will open new channels in perfect timing. To live in this certainty is to live free from fear, free from desperation, free from disappointment. It is to know that the law is always at work, that supply is always secure, and that the ways are infinite. Daring to claim boldly is the key to great riches. The universe responds not to hesitation, not to timid requests, not to weak affirmations, but to bold, unwavering declarations of truth. When you stand in the authority of spirit and declare that the wealth, the abundance, the opportunity, the prosperity you seek is already yours by divine right, the law moves into action with swiftness and certainty. To whisper faintly is to half believe, and the law mirrors that half belief with partial results. But to claim boldly is to strike the note of certainty, to sound the tone of possession, and the invisible substance of abundance rushes to fill that note with form. The timid soul waits, hoping, wishing, fearing that its claim may be too much. It says, "Perhaps I deserve just enough, perhaps I should not ask for more than I need, perhaps I must wait until the right time." This timidity is rooted in doubt and fear, and it shuts the door on greater supply. The bold soul, however, understands that abundance is infinite, that wealth is limitless, that spirit withholds nothing. It dares to speak large decrees, to claim fortunes, to affirm prosperity without apology. And because it dares, it receives. Boldness is not arrogance. It is alignment with the truth of your divine inheritance. To claim boldly is not to grasp selfishly, but to acknowledge that all good is already prepared and that you are worthy of it. When you say, "I claim my millions now. I claim perfect opportunities now. I claim overflowing abundance now," you are not demanding against the law, you are affirming with the law. The law responds to your boldness because it recognizes authority. Spirit delights in those who believe so completely that they claim without wavering. Throughout history, those who achieved great riches were those who dared to claim what others considered impossible. They looked not at limitation but at possibility. They refused to speak in half measures. They envisioned boldly, acted boldly, and declared boldly. Their wealth was not the result of timidity but of daring. The timid might have waited, but the bold pressed forward with conviction. The law favors conviction, for conviction is faith made visible. To claim boldly is to speak as though it is already done. It is to say, "I am wealthy now," not, "I will be wealthy one day." It is to say, "This fortune is mine now," not, "Perhaps it may come in the future." The bold claim does not leave room for hesitation, for hesitation weakens the vibration. Spirit responds to firmness, to finality, to the unwavering tone of authority. When you claim in this way, you create a mold so clear, so definite, that substance must fill it. Many hesitate to claim boldly because they fear they are unworthy. They believe they must earn, struggle, or prove themselves before wealth may come. Yet the truth is that wealth is your divine birthright, not a prize to be won through toil. The bold soul recognizes this truth and acts upon it. It does not apologize for its abundance, nor does it shrink from claiming it. It stands firm, knowing that what it claims is already secured in spirit, and that claiming is the act of aligning with what already exists. The act of bold claiming transforms the mind. Each declaration strengthens the conviction, and each conviction strengthens the vibration. Soon, the individual begins to carry themselves differently, to expect differently, to act differently. They speak with authority, move with confidence, and live with assurance. Opportunities are drawn to such a soul, for abundance is attracted to boldness. Where timidity repels, boldness attracts. Where hesitation delays, boldness accelerates. The key is in the courage to affirm without fear, to speak without doubt, to declare without apology. Boldness also silences the voice of fear. When fear whispers, "What if it does not come?" boldness replies, "It is already here." When fear says, "You are asking too much," boldness replies, "There is no measure too great for spirit." When fear warns, "You will be disappointed," boldness answers, "The law cannot fail." Each bold declaration overcomes fear and establishes faith more deeply. The more you claim boldly, the less room fear has to speak, and soon your inner world becomes an atmosphere of certainty. Claiming boldly also inspires action aligned with faith. When you say, "I claim great riches now," you begin to act as one who possesses them. You carry yourself with dignity, make decisions with confidence, and treat opportunities with seriousness. The law responds to this alignment by opening doors and arranging circumstances to match your claim. Bold words draw bold results, and bold actions seal them. To claim boldly is to stand against appearances. Even when the account is empty, you say, "I am overflowing with abundance." Even when the opportunity has not yet shown itself, you say, "The perfect opportunity is mine now." Even when circumstances appear unfavorable, you declare, "All is working in my favor." Appearances shift according to declarations, and bold declarations shift appearances most swiftly. The outer world is a reflection of the inner claim, and the bolder the claim, the stronger the reflection. The law of abundance is impartial. It does not give more to some and less to others because of merit. It gives according to belief and claim. Those who claim little receive little. Those who claim much receive much. Those who claim timidly receive timidly. Those who claim boldly receive boldly. The measure is not in the law but in the claimant. Infinite intelligence holds no limit, and so the limit is only what the individual dares to claim. To live in boldness is to live in expectation of miracles. Each day becomes a stage for demonstration. Each word becomes a decree of wealth. Each thought becomes a magnet for abundance. The bold soul no longer wonders if supply will come, it knows that supply is already here. It no longer asks timidly for crumbs, it sits confidently at the banquet of spirit and partakes freely. This boldness is not presumption. It is truth acted upon. Bold claiming also blesses others. When you claim wealth without apology, you demonstrate to those around you that they too may claim their good. Your confidence becomes their inspiration. Your demonstration becomes their encouragement. In this way, boldness spreads, and abundance multiplies not only for yourself, but for all who witness your example. Spirit is glorified when individuals dare to live boldly, for it reveals the fullness of the law in action. Every fortune, every great success, every magnificent demonstration begins with someone daring to say, "This is mine now. Not tomorrow, not someday, not if fortune favors me, but now." This daring claim sets the law in motion, clears the obstacles of doubt, and draws the invisible into visibility. The universe answers the tone of certainty, and certainty is expressed through boldness. Those who dare little receive little. Those who dare greatly receive greatly, for spirit meets you at the level of your claim. To shrink back is to deny the truth of abundance. To step forward boldly is to affirm it. Each bold claim is a step into greater riches, each declaration a command to the law, each affirmation a call to substance to take form. The law does not resist, it waits for the claimant. And the claimant who dares to claim boldly finds that wealth responds with the same boldness, rushing forth in great measure, overflowing, exceeding expectation. Beloved, September is a month of harvest. It is the season where the unseen seeds of faith, spoken words, and quiet thoughts begin to bear fruit. Riches are not merely coins of silver and gold, nor are they found only in the clinking of money in the pocket. True riches begin first in the spirit, then in the mind, and finally they show themselves in the outer world as prosperity, opportunity, and abundance. To become rich in September, one must first claim richness with every word and every thought. For every word is a seed, and every thought is a blueprint. What you speak and what you imagine is what you call forth. The universe is a perfect mirror. If one walks about in fear of lack, declaring that nothing good ever comes, the universe must return the echo of those words. But if one awakens each morning and says, "All doors fly open for me this month, September is my month of supply," then the universe must obey. The world responds not to the cry of despair but to the vibration of faith. Riches come when one ceases to chase and begins to expect. The rich person is not the one who holds money tightly, but the one who knows that supply is endless. Consider the sun in the heavens. It rises without effort, and it shines without thought of running out. Prosperity is of the same law. The stream does not struggle to flow, the tree does not beg for fruit. In September, align yourself with this rhythm. Declare with boldness, "I live in a rich universe, and wealth seeks me as surely as the river runs to the sea." Such declarations break the spell of limitation and call forth opportunities that the reasoning mind cannot even imagine. To become rich, one must give up the idea of struggle. Struggle belongs to those who believe they must force their way through closed doors. But the rich soul knows that when one door shuts, another stands ready to swing wide. Trust opens that door. Fear closes it. Every time you release fear, you permit a new stream of good to flow toward you. This September, cast away the garment of doubt. Wear instead the robe of expectation. Riches come to those who are ready to receive them, who walk as if they already possess them, and who give thanks before the evidence arrives. Gratitude is the magnet of wealth. When you thank the universe for the smallest coin, you prepare yourself to handle the greatest treasure. When you bless every bill you pay, you transform it from loss into circulation. Money that goes out in joy must return multiplied. Do not say, "I cannot afford this." Say instead, "My supply is endless, and every good thing is mine by divine right." September will rush to prove you right, for the universe loves a bold declaration of truth. Riches begin first in the mind and words spoken. To understand this, one must first realize that every visible thing once existed in the invisible. The great buildings were once only a thought. The melody that moves the soul was once a whisper in the mind of the composer. The inventions that change the course of history are born first as ideas, faint sparks of imagination that someone dared to hold and believe in. The same law governs wealth. The money in the hand, the opportunities that open, the doors that swing wide, all these are only the fruit. The root lies in the unseen soil of thought and the spoken word. To become rich, one must begin not with effort but with consciousness. Words are more powerful than many dare to believe. Each word carries a vibration, and that vibration sets into motion a chain of events that must return to the speaker. When one constantly speaks of lack, of bills that cannot be paid, of doors that seem closed, one is planting weeds in the fertile ground of the subconscious. The soil does not question what seed is sown. It accepts, it nurtures, and it brings forth. If the seed is one of poverty, then poverty must sprout. If the seed is one of plenty, then plenty must bloom. Thus, the first act of riches is to guard the lips. Speak only of abundance, and abundance will answer. Thoughts are silent words, yet they are no less powerful. The inner dialogue, often unnoticed, builds the scaffolding of reality. To think continually of debt, of insufficiency, of misfortune, is to draft a plan for poverty. But to think of wealth, to imagine doors opening, to see oneself in possession of good, is to draw a blueprint for prosperity. Just as an architect designs a structure before a single brick is laid, so does the mind design the wealth that will appear. If the design is one of confidence, joy, and expectation, then the structure of prosperity is inevitable. Consider the child at play who imagines himself a king or queen. In their mind, they are already enthroned, already clothed in splendor. They walk with majesty, and in their game, they command wealth and power. That child is closer to truth than the adult who drags their feet in despair. For the child understands, without knowing, that imagination is the doorway through which reality steps. To become rich, one must dare to imagine wealth, not as a far-off dream, but as a present reality, felt and believed in this very moment. There are those who say, "I will believe in riches when I see them." But such a one waits forever, for the law does not work backward. Seeing comes after believing, never before. One who believes without seeing is planting the seed. In time, the seed must sprout, though the manner of its growth remains unseen. The farmer does not dig daily into the soil to demand proof that the seed is alive. He trusts the law, and in due season, the harvest comes. So too with wealth, the spoken word, and the steady thought are seeds, and trust in their power is the soil in which they grow. If one desires wealth in September, let each day begin with words of abundance. Say aloud, even before leaving the bed, "I am rich in all ways. Riches flow to me freely and endlessly. Every door opens in my favor." These words, repeated with faith, are not mere sounds. They are commands to the universe, declarations that call forth unseen forces to arrange opportunities, connections, and ideas that lead to wealth. To speak such words is to tune the mind to the vibration of abundance, and once tuned, one cannot help but draw on experiences that match. Silence, too, has its place, for the mind must be quiet enough to receive the impressions of wealth. When worry fills the mind with noise, there is no room for inspiration. But when one grows still, when one releases fear and listens inwardly, ideas come like gentle whispers. These ideas, acted upon, are often the very bridges that lead to prosperity. Thus, riches are not only a product of outer action, but of inner stillness and openness. There is a story of a man who declared daily, "I am surrounded by supply." Though he had little in his possession, he held to his words. Others laughed, saying he was deceiving himself. But in time, opportunities began to appear. A friend offered him work. A new business venture presented itself, and unexpected money came through the mail. Within a short span, his outer life matched the words he had faithfully spoken. He did not deceive himself. He aligned himself with truth. The truth is that the universe is abundant, and when one speaks in harmony with that truth, abundance must reveal itself. Doubt is the thief of riches. When one says, "I am rich," but secretly thinks, "It is not true," the words are cancelled by the hidden thought. The law cannot be fooled. Only when word and thought are in harmony does the power flow freely. This is why persistence is necessary. A thought may feel untrue at first, just as a seed seems dead when placed in the ground. But with repetition, with care, with unwavering belief, the thought grows strong. And at last the feeling of truth settles in the heart. Then the words spoken are charged with conviction, and conviction is the force that moves mountains. To master wealth, one must therefore master speech and thought. Guard the lips from speaking of lack. Guard the mind from dwelling on limitation. Replace each word of despair with a word of hope. Replace each thought of failure with a vision of success. Soon the inner world becomes so filled with images of abundance that the outer world must conform. For the outer is only a shadow, and the shadow must follow the shape of the substance. The substance is the consciousness of riches, built word by word, thought by thought, until it stands unshakable. The universe mirrors faith, not fear. This law operates with precision, as exact as the reflection of a face in a still pool of water. Whatever image is held in the depths of the heart is what the universe must echo back in experience. Faith is a magnet that draws opportunities, open doors, and abundance. Fear is also a magnet, but it pulls to itself obstacles, delays, and lack. One cannot hold fear in the heart and expect to receive the fruits of faith. The two cannot occupy the same space. Therefore, if one desires to see riches, health, and success, one must cultivate faith as the dominant vibration, for the mirror can only reflect what is presented before it. Faith is not a vague hope, nor is it a wish that trembles in uncertainty. Faith is the confident knowing that unseen forces are arranging every detail in perfect order. It is the substance beneath all things visible, the assurance that what is claimed in spirit must appear in matter. Fear, on the other hand, is the belief in the opposite. Fear insists that supply will run dry, that failure is inevitable, that doors will remain closed. When the mind entertains fear, it is as though it hands the universe a blueprint of defeat. The universe, impartial and obedient, brings forth exactly what has been impressed upon it. Consider a gardener who plants seeds. If he plants wheat, he cannot expect to harvest roses. The soil will yield only what is given. So too with thought and feeling. Faith sows seeds of prosperity, fear sows seeds of lack. The soil of the universe is neutral. It asks no questions. It does not alter wheat into roses, nor does it alter fear into blessing. It only produces after its kind. Therefore, the wise soul takes care not to plant fear through constant worry, complaints, and doubts, for these will surely bear their fruit in time. Faith speaks with certainty. It says, "My good is at hand. All that I need flows to me now." The supply of the universe is endless and cannot fail. Faith does not wait for visible evidence before making its declaration. It knows that the declaration itself is the evidence. Just as the sunrise is certain long before the first light touches the horizon, so is the manifestation certain when faith has spoken. Fear, however, whispers the opposite. It says, "Perhaps it will not come. Perhaps I will fail. Perhaps I will lose what I have." These whispers are also creative, for the universe listens to them and begins to arrange circumstances in agreement with the fearful word. One cannot serve both faith and fear. The mirror will not show two reflections at once. It will either reflect the shining image of trust or the shadow of doubt. If one continually rehearses fears in the mind, replaying scenes of loss and disappointment, then life will dutifully provide them again. But if one holds firmly to images of victory, success, and plenty, then life will provide scenes to match those visions. The universe is like a great stage manager, arranging props and players according to the script handed to it. The script is written in thought and sealed with emotion. Faith writes a script of triumph, fear writes one of defeat. When faith is active, it produces calmness. The one who truly believes in abundance does not rush anxiously, does not scramble in desperation. There is a poise, a quiet certainty, like the calm of a captain steering a ship with steady hand, knowing the destination is sure. Fear, in contrast, produces restlessness. It pushes one to grasp at every passing opportunity, to chase wealth as though it were running away, to panic when delays arise. But chasing does not create riches, it only drives them further. Wealth comes by magnetic attraction, and the magnet is faith. Examples are found in every walk of life. The person who walks into a room confident in their worth draws others to them. The one who enters with fear of rejection often finds rejection waiting. The investor who believes in success with calm confidence attracts opportunities that confirm his faith. The one who invests trembling with fear often loses, not because the market is unkind, but because fear guided every step. Life reflects inner conviction as faithfully as the mirror reflects the face. Faith is not passive dreaming. It is active alignment with abundance. It expresses itself in words spoken with assurance, in actions taken without hesitation, in attitudes that remain steady despite appearances. Fear weakens every effort. Even when action is taken, if fear is the silent partner, the outcome is poisoned. The faithful action, even if small, is charged with unseen power and multiplies into great success. The fearful action, even if large, carries within it the seed of failure. Thus, the inner state always outweighs the outer motion. When difficulties appear, faith holds fast. It says, "This is only appearance, the truth is greater. Supply is here though I cannot yet see it. The way is open, though the path is not visible." Fear collapses under difficulty. It says, This proves my worst thoughts. There is no hope, nothing works for me, I am defeated. The universe, impartial as ever, takes these declarations and fulfills them. Faith declares victory and is granted victory. Fear declares defeat and is granted defeat. The mirror does not judge which face it reflects, it simply reflects. Faith transforms the very atmosphere around a person. It radiates a power that others feel, often without knowing why. Doors open more easily, people offer help. Opportunities seem to appear at just the right time. Fear also radiates, but it closes doors. Others sense the heaviness of doubt, the shrinking vibration of worry, and unconsciously turn away. Faith makes one magnetic, fear makes one repellent. Faith builds bridges, fear builds walls. It is possible to move from fear to faith, for fear is only misplaced belief. It is faith in the wrong outcome. To shift, one must train the mind, replacing fearful words with words of confidence, replacing pictures of failure with pictures of success. Each time fear arises, it must be met with an affirmation of faith. I refuse this vision. I accept only the truth of abundance. I choose to see wealth, health, and open doors. With persistence, the habit of fear weakens, and the habit of faith grows strong. Faith, once established, becomes a shield. It guards against every suggestion of lack and every appearance of loss. It does not deny that challenges exist, but it denies that they have power to defeat. Fear grants power to the challenge, faith strips it away. In this way, the universe mirrors back either triumph or trouble, according to which power the individual has chosen to believe in. Supply is endless and flows without struggle. This truth is as ancient as the rising of the sun and as constant as the flowing of a river. The universe was not designed in limitation, nor was humanity placed in a barren world. Look to nature, and you will see this law written everywhere. The trees do not ration their leaves, they produce them in abundance. The ocean does not measure its waves, it sends them endlessly to the shore. The stars do not conserve their light, they shine without ceasing across the heavens. Everywhere the message is clear, there is no end to supply. Only the belief in limitation creates lack. When one believes that resources are scarce, the mind begins to shrink, and life mirrors this shrinking. A person who thinks supply is limited grasps tightly, hoards, and fears loss. This very fear becomes the cause of the lack they dread. But the one who knows that supply is infinite lives with open hands, gives freely, trusts completely. Such a person becomes a channel through which the current of abundance flows. And because the current is endless, their life becomes a constant stream of provision. The law of supply is not one of struggle. The bird does not toil in fear over where the next worm will come from. It sings in the morning and receives its food. The flower does not wrestle with anxiety about whether the sun will rise tomorrow. It opens its petals in faith, and the light appears. Humanity alone has imagined a world of struggle, believing that supply must be fought for, competed over, and seized. Yet this belief is only a shadow cast by fear, not the reality of truth. In truth, supply flows as naturally as breath, and the more one trusts in this flow, the more easily it comes. Consider the river. It does not force its way with resistance, yet it carves valleys, nourishes fields, and sustains life wherever it passes. Its secret lies in its nature, it moves in harmony with its source. The same is true of supply. When a person aligns with the endless source, they too become as the river, unstoppable, refreshing, and abundant. Struggle begins only when one resists, when one doubts the flow, when one blocks it with thoughts of fear and words of lack. Remove the block, and the current resumes, bringing with it all that is needed. Many believe that their good is dependent on the actions of others, on markets, on circumstances, or on luck. But supply does not come from these outer channels. They are only instruments, not the source itself. The source is infinite, unseen, and unfailing. To mistake the channel for the source is to invite fear, for channels can open and close. But to trust the source is to stand unshaken, for it is eternal. When one knows this truth, there is no need for struggle. Opportunities may change form, but supply remains constant, finding new ways to reach the one who believes. A person may lose a job, yet another door opens. A business may close, yet a new venture arises. A field may dry, yet another harvest springs up elsewhere. The essence of supply cannot be destroyed, it only transforms and flows in different streams. To cling to one channel in fear is to block the greater river. To release and trust is to allow the river to carve new paths of abundance. Giving is one of the surest ways to prove the endlessness of supply. The one who hoards out of fear of lack finds that even what they hold slips away. But the one who gives, confident in the inexhaustible source, finds that more always comes to replace it. Just as the ocean cannot be emptied by drawing water from it, so the source of supply cannot be diminished by giving. Each act of generosity declares, "I trust the flow, I am not afraid of lack," and the universe echoes back with multiplied return. Children show this law with simple clarity. They do not sit in fear wondering if there will be food tomorrow. They live in the moment, trusting the provision of life. Their faith creates joy, and joy itself is magnetic to supply. Adults burdened with fear lose this simple trust, and in doing so, they often block the very flow they long for. To become as a child again, trusting the endlessness of life's provision, is to rediscover the ease with which supply comes. There is a rhythm to supply, a divine order that governs its flow. Just as the tide rises and falls, just as the seasons turn, supply moves in cycles. In one moment, it comes as money, in another as opportunity, in another as favor from unexpected places. To struggle against these rhythms is to waste energy. To trust and move in harmony with them is to live in peace. The wise soul watches with calm assurance, knowing that every eddy is followed by a flow, every winter by a spring, every seeming loss by a greater gain. When one declares, "My supply is endless," the words set in motion unseen forces. Circumstances begin to shift, people are moved into place. Opportunities appear. These words are not idle, they are commands. When spoken with conviction, they align the speaker with the reality of infinite provision. The mind expands, expectation rises, and the universe mirrors back abundance to match. Conversely, when one says, "There is never enough," the universe must echo the words, and lack appears to confirm the belief. Thus, supply is not created by struggle but by consciousness. The struggle many experience comes from the belief in separation, from thinking that one is cut off from the source. This belief is an illusion. Just as no wave is separate from the ocean, no individual is separate from supply. The wave may rise and fall, but it never loses connection with the sea. Likewise, one may experience changes in fortune, but the link to supply remains unbroken. To remember this truth is to release struggle. To forget it is to live in fear. The ease with which supply flows can be seen when one acts in alignment with their true purpose. Work done with joy, creativity, and faith becomes magnetic, drawing reward without the weight of struggle. Work done in fear, resentment, or desperation becomes heavy, yielding little despite great effort. The difference lies not in the task itself, but in the consciousness behind it. Consciousness of endless supply transforms labor into joy and brings forth reward with ease. To live in awareness of infinite supply is to carry a certain peace. It is to look at circumstances that seem barren and still declare, "The river is flowing, even if I cannot yet see it." It is to release anxiety when a channel closes, trusting that another will open. It is to give freely, speak boldly, and walk with assurance, knowing that the source cannot run dry. The one who understands this truth ceases to wrestle and begins to rest, and in that rest, supply comes more abundantly than ever. Expectation opens doors, doubt closes them. The universe responds to the inner posture of the heart more than to the outward effort of the hands. A person who expects good meets good at every turn, for their expectation is a magnet drawing it near. Another who doubts, though surrounded by opportunities, finds doors shut, for doubt has already decreed that no path shall open. Expectation is the key that unlocks unseen gates, while doubt is the lock that bolts them tight. To expect is not merely to hope. It is to stand in certainty, knowing that good is on the way, though no sign yet appears. The farmer who plants seed does not dig in the soil each morning to see if sprouts have broken ground. He expects them to rise, and his expectation gives him peace. In the same way, when one expects abundance, opportunity, and success, there is no restless striving. There is a calm assurance that what is claimed in faith will arrive. The soil of life has already received the seed, and the harvest is guaranteed. Doubt, on the other hand, acts as a thief in the night. It steals the energy of faith, drains the vitality of action, and poisons every effort with hesitation. When one doubts, even the boldest opportunities are met with fear. Doors that stand open appear to be walls. Invitations to advance are mistaken for threats. Doubt clouds the vision, so that even when supply is near, it goes unseen. Expectation sharpens the eye, so that the smallest opening is recognized as the beginning of a great pathway. The power of expectation is not bound to chance but to law. Life mirrors belief. The one who rises in the morning and declares, "Today is filled with favor, doors open before me, and opportunities are abundant," sets in motion currents that arrange circumstances to match. Conversations lead to connections. Small actions lead to great results, and what seemed impossible suddenly unfolds with ease. The one who rises murmuring, "Nothing ever works for me, nothing changes, doors remain closed," has also spoken into law, and life arranges itself accordingly. The day unfolds with obstacles. Opportunities slip away, and closed doors appear at every turn. The universe does not choose which to grant, it simply reflects what has been expected. Expectation prepares the heart to receive. Without it, even blessings are missed. Imagine a traveler who expects a letter of welcome upon arriving in a new city. He watches for it, and when the letter is placed in his hand, he recognizes it at once. Another traveler filled with doubt says, "I will never be welcomed here." When the same letter is offered, he hesitates, mistrusts it, perhaps refuses to open it. The gift is wasted, not because it was withheld, but because expectation was absent. In this way, expectation opens the hand to grasp what is given, while doubt lets it slip away. When one truly expects, there is no sense of delay. There may be waiting, but waiting is filled with calm anticipation rather than anxious fear. Expectation transforms time into preparation, while doubt turns time into torment. The expectant soul uses the in between moments to prepare, to strengthen, to make ready for the arrival of good. The doubtful soul wastes the same moments in worry, weakening themselves, and becoming unready when opportunity knocks. Expectation is visible in the very way a person carries themselves. There is a lightness, a confidence, a readiness. They walk into a room expecting favor, and favor comes. They speak expecting to be heard, and they are heard. They act expecting success, and success follows. Doubt also reveals itself in the hesitant step, the uncertain tone, the shrinking posture. Such signals silently declare to the world, "Do not give me your best, I am not ready." The world obliges with holding its treasures, not out of cruelty, but because doubt has already closed the door. Children often embody pure expectation. A child who asks for a gift does not wonder if it will come. They begin to rejoice as though it were already theirs. They make room for it, plan for it, speak of it. Their expectation is so strong that the parents, moved by the certainty, often fulfill it. Adults lose this simple trust, replacing it with suspicion and fear. Yet to become rich in opportunity and experience, one must return to this childlike state, expecting without wavering, rejoicing before the evidence, preparing for the gift even before it arrives. Every great achievement begins with expectation. The inventor who expects to discover presses on through failure until success is revealed. The artist who expects inspiration receives it. The merchant who expects profit finds ways to create it. Those who doubt never reach the threshold, for their doubt persuades them to stop short. They close the door with their own hand and then wonder why nothing enters. Expectation keeps the door open, even when the hallway beyond seems dark, trusting that light will appear as the next step is taken. Expectation is the voice that calls to unseen supply. It says, "I know you are on your way, I prepare for you, I rejoice in you." Supply, hearing its name spoken, hastens forward. Doubt says, You will not come, you are not real, you will disappoint me. Supply unrecognized, passes by in silence. The law is impartial, and each receives according to their inner word. To expect is to invite, to doubt is to dismiss. Life offers countless examples of expectation shaping experience. A person who expects rejection often walks into relationships with guardedness, and rejection follows. Another who expects warmth opens their heart freely, and warmth is returned. A worker who expects promotion carries themselves with readiness, and opportunity appears. Another who doubts their worth hides their ability, and advancement passes them by. The difference is not in the external world, but in the inner decree of expectation or doubt. When one trains themselves to expect, every detail of life begins to shift. Words grow bolder, actions more decisive, vision clearer. Even in setbacks, expectation whispers, "This is only a turn in the road, my good is still ahead." Doubt in the same circumstance whispers, "This proves my fear. Nothing better is coming." The outer event may be the same, but the inner posture determines the outcome. Expectation keeps walking until the new door appears. Doubt sits down in defeat and misses the very gate it longed for. The secret lies in choosing expectation daily, in the face of appearances. When the sky is clouded, expectation says, "The sun is still shining behind the veil." When money seems scarce, expectation says, "Supply is endless, and I am part of its flow." When opportunities appear absent, expectation says, "The doors are opening, though I cannot yet see them." Each declaration becomes a seed planted, and each seed must grow. Doubt uproots the seed before it can sprout, but expectation waters it until the harvest comes. Gratitude multiplies wealth. When one gives thanks for what is already in hand, no matter how small, they place themselves in alignment with the law of increase. The universe responds to recognition, to appreciation, to the vibration of joy over what has been received. A person who blesses even the smallest coin calls forth the great treasure. One who complains over the smallness of their portion closes the door on increase, for they have failed to recognize that every harvest begins with a single seed. Gratitude is the water that causes that seed to sprout, to grow, and to multiply until it becomes a field of plenty. Consider the one who receives a little and grumbles, saying, "This is not enough. This cannot help me." Their words act as poison to the gift, cutting off the flow that was meant to follow. But the one who receives the same amount and says, "I thank you, I bless this, I rejoice in this," has spoken words of multiplication. What they have blessed begins to expand. Opportunities arrive, supply increases, favor multiplies, and what was once small becomes more than sufficient. The act of gratitude has turned little into much. Gratitude changes the atmosphere of the heart. A thankful person radiates light, joy, and openness. This radiance draws others, attracts opportunities, and opens doors that remain shut to those who complain. Gratitude says, "I recognize the good in this moment," and life responds by showing more good. Complaint says, "Nothing is ever enough," and life mirrors back lack. The universe reflects the inner tone. Gratitude sets the tone of plenty. Complaint sets the tone of scarcity. Gratitude must not be reserved for great blessings alone. It must be practiced in the small, in the unnoticed, in the ordinary. The breath in the lungs, the warmth of the sun, the food on the table, the kindness of a smile. All these are treasures when seen with eyes of thankfulness. To bless them is to multiply them. To ignore them is to keep the door to abundance half closed. The one who thanks for little is entrusted with much. The one who disregards little is left barren, even when surrounded by opportunities. Gratitude is not mere politeness, it is a spiritual force. It transforms the mind from focusing on lack to focusing on abundance. What the mind focuses upon expands. If one continually thinks on what is missing, lack grows larger in perception until it seems overwhelming. If one continually gives thanks for what is present, abundance grows larger until it fills the vision and crowds out every thought of insufficiency. Gratitude is the turning of the gaze toward plenty, and where the gaze rests, life magnifies. When money leaves the hand, gratitude can turn it into a seed rather than a loss. To pay a bill with resentment is to say, "This depletes me." To pay with gratitude is to say, "This circulates back to me multiplied." Money is not lost when it is spent in gratitude. It is set in motion, like a seed planted in the soil. The soil gives back more than was sown. The grateful payer receives return. The resentful payer receives only emptiness, for they have cursed the seed and demanded that it not grow. Gratitude is the secret that makes circulation become multiplication. Gratitude also transforms relationships. The person who is thanked for their kindness is moved to show greater kindness still. The one whose efforts go unnoticed soon grows wary and withholds their gift. Life itself behaves in the same way. It responds with generosity where it is welcomed with thanks. It withdraws where it is met with complaint. Thus, gratitude not only multiplies wealth but multiplies joy, favor, and love. It creates a cycle where good increases because it has been honored. Gratitude is a magnet to the unseen. It calls forth blessings that are still hidden, bringing them into visibility. To give thanks for what has not yet arrived is to declare faith in its certainty. Gratitude spoken in advance pulls the blessing into the present. One who says, "I thank you for the wealth that is flowing. I rejoice in the opportunities already prepared for me," speaks as though the gift is already in hand. Life, hearing such words of faith, hastens to fulfill them. Doubt delays the blessing, but gratitude draws it swiftly. The power of gratitude is evident in those who have risen from little to great wealth. Many stories tell of people who began with almost nothing, yet they blessed what they had, worked with it joyfully, and expected it to grow. Their thankfulness created a vibration that attracted opportunity after opportunity until they stood in abundance. Others, who began with much but never gave thanks, found their fortunes slipping away. Gratitude is the safeguard of riches. Without it, wealth becomes like sand slipping through fingers. With it, wealth becomes a river that never runs dry. Gratitude is also a healer. A thankful heart cannot dwell long in bitterness or despair. By focusing on what is good, even in the midst of challenge, gratitude shifts the vibration of the soul. This shift invites new strength, new hope, new possibilities. The one who remains grateful in difficulty draws the way of escape more quickly than the one who sinks into complaint. For complaint binds the soul to the problem, while gratitude lifts it toward the solution. Every day provides countless moments to practice gratitude. Each breath, each sunrise, each step, each kindness received is an opportunity to give thanks. The more often thanks is given, the more natural it becomes, until gratitude flows as easily as breath. At this point, wealth in every form multiplies effortlessly, for the thankful heart has become a constant magnet for good. Gratitude is not a single act but a state of being, a way of living that continually affirms, "I am surrounded by blessing, and I rejoice in it." In the great game of life, there are invisible laws that move silently beneath the surface of every human experience. These laws do not bend for emotion, nor do they sway under fear. They answer to faith, to vision, and to the clear, unwavering word. Money, power, respect, love, and friends are not scattered gifts of chance. They are divine ideas waiting to be claimed by the one who dares to speak their rightful name. Each of these elements is a spiritual coin, minted in the unseen realm long before it appears in the visible. Money is not merely paper or number. It is circulation, the living breath of abundance that flows like a river to the one who trusts its current. Those who see money as a friend rather than a foe walk with quiet assurance, for they know that wealth is a servant, not a master. The universe responds to certainty, and when the soul declares all that is mine by divine right now flows to me in perfect order, doors swing open that once seemed sealed shut. Power is not the shout of dominance, but the quiet strength that stands rooted in truth. It is the force of inner authority that commands without raising its voice. True power is born not from grasping, but from alignment, when thought, word, and faith move as one. The person who understands power does not chase, they magnetize. They hold their vision high, and the world rearranges itself to meet their decree. Respect is the mirror the world holds up to the individual who respects their own worth. When one walks in the dignity of their divine identity, they no longer beg for recognition, it is given. Respect is not taken by force, it is earned through the quiet radiance of self-knowing. A mind anchored in purpose commands reverence, not through demand, but through presence. Love, the greatest of all currencies, is the golden thread weaving all things into harmony. It is not bound by conditions, nor does it shrink when met with fear. Love is the great harmonizer, the power that melts resistance, dissolves walls, and heals what once seemed broken. Where love leads, abundance follows, for love is the foundation upon which every true blessing stands. Friends are divine appointments, reflections of the inner vibration one carries. True companions are not found through striving, but through resonance. When the heart stands open and unafraid, it attracts those who walk in the same light. Friends are treasures, not because they fill a void, but because they mirror the wealth already living within. Money, power, respect, love, friends, each is a key, but together they unlock a gate far greater than any single dream. They are not separate pursuits, but facets of one radiant truth, that life gives in full measure to the one who claims it boldly, speaks with faith, and moves with unwavering certainty. The law answers every word, every thought, every belief, never with delay, but with precision. Money flows to faith, not fear. This is a law as certain and precise as the turning of the stars. Money is not a lifeless object, but a living current, and like any current, it seeks the path of least resistance. Faith is that open path, clear, steady, and receptive, while fear is the boulder that blocks the stream. When the mind and heart are filled with doubt, anxiety, or clutching, the current of supply is disrupted. When faith stands firm, the river flows with ease. Money has no will of its own, it follows the vibration of the one who calls it forth. When a soul walks in faith, money becomes a faithful servant, arriving not in trickles but in tides, drawn by the magnetic certainty of an unwavering spirit. The one who trusts in divine supply does not chase, for they know what belongs to them comes in perfect timing. Faith is the invisible cord that tugs at the unseen storehouse of abundance. A mind anchored in faith speaks the word and then releases it, not looking to the world for signs of lack, but to the inner knowing that everything needed is already prepared. Fear clings, but faith commands. Fear begs, but faith declares. The one who trusts does not measure their worth by the coins in their hand, for they understand the true bank lies in the unseen. They may walk with empty pockets, but their spirit carries the certainty of overflowing accounts. They may stand at the edge of need, but their soul whispers, "It is done," and the universe rushes to obey. Fear speaks in the language of scarcity. It repeats old stories, rehearses losses, and clings to limitations as though there were laws carved in stone. But they are only shadows, illusions that vanish in the presence of faith. When one believes lack is real, they feed the shadow. They tighten their grip, they hoard, they hesitate, and the current of money, like a bird sensing a storm, flies elsewhere. Money does not settle where it is not trusted. It does not linger in the hands of the one who fears losing it. But faith opens wide the gate, saying, "There is always more." And in that fearless declaration, the flow finds a home. Money answers to vibration, not to desperate effort. 1,000 labors rooted in fear will not yield what a single word spoken in faith can bring. When one believes deeply in their divine supply, they no longer ask, "Will it come?" They speak as though it is already here. They walk as though their steps are guided. They release the grip of fear and hold their hands open, knowing that open hands are ready to receive. Faith is the magnet. Fear is the repellent. Faith expands, fear contracts. In the silent spaces of the heart, these forces battle, and money listens not to the noise of words, but to the quiet pulse of belief. Many imagine money as power, but money itself is neutral. It becomes power in the hands of the faithful because faith directs it, multiplies it, and aligns it with purpose. In the hands of fear, money becomes fleeting, unstable, always just out of reach. Faith sees opportunity in the unseen. Fear sees obstacles in the visible. Faith plants seeds knowing harvest is inevitable. Fear digs up the ground to check if anything is growing. Faith invests, not recklessly, but with the quiet assurance that the universe is an abundant field. It trusts timing, trusts flow, trusts that what is sown will return multiplied. Fear counts every seed and worries there will not be enough for tomorrow. Faith does not require evidence, it creates it. Those who walk by faith in their financial life often find doors swinging open that logic could not explain. Opportunities arise, resources align, and ideas blossom as if they had been waiting in silence for the soul to believe. Fear closes doors before they appear. It whispers not for you, and the soul, believing the lie, never knocks. Faith knows lack is a mirage, a shadow cast by doubt. It does not wait for proof. It moves first, and the world follows. Money is a servant that recognizes confidence, not arrogance, not greed, but the calm certainty of one who knows their divine right to supply. When one stands in that inner authority, they no longer approach money as a beggar at a gate, but as the rightful heir to a vast estate. They do not plead with the world for scraps. They speak to the unseen as a commander issuing orders. Faith is not noise. It is stillness that carries weight. It is the quiet yes that the universe recognizes as law. Fear is restless. It worries over every bill, clutches at every coin, calculates endlessly, and builds prisons of limitation with its own hands. It makes the world small, opportunities scarce, and the future a place of looming lack. Faith, by contrast, makes the world wide. It sees streams of income where fear sees deserts. It recognizes that money flows through people, places, ideas, and circumstances, not because they are special, but because the law of abundance knows no shortage. Faith invites those streams in. Fear builds dams to keep them out. Every thought held in faith plants a seed in the unseen garden of supply. Each declaration spoken with conviction waters that seed. Each act of gratitude acts as sunlight. Fear, on the other hand, uproots, dries, and chokes the sprout before it blooms. Faith gives time for roots to deepen. It does not panic when results are not instant, for it knows the law is at work, even when nothing seems to move. Fear demands proof at once and curses the soil when it sees only bare earth. But faith stands still and knows. When money is approached with faith, it does not need to be chased, it is drawn. People feel it, opportunities recognize it, and circumstances shape themselves to meet it. Faith moves quietly, like a current beneath the surface, gathering unseen forces into visible form. It does not concern itself with how or when, only with the unwavering knowing that it shall be. The outer world reflects the inner stance. If fear rules the heart, scarcity rules the world around. If faith sits on the throne, abundance bows before it. The mind trained in faith begins to see money as a flowing friend, never an enemy, never a tyrant. It understands that wealth is not taken, it is allowed. It is not forced, it is welcomed. It does not run from the faithful, it runs to them. Faith does not shrink in the face of bills, debts, or empty accounts. It looks at the mountain and declares it full. It looks at the mountain and declares it moved. It does not wait for the world to agree. It speaks first, and the world, being obedient to law, rearranges itself in answer. Fear trembles before obstacles. Faith walks through them as if they were smoke. Money is a reflection, a mirror of the inner state. If fear reigns, the reflection is scarcity. If faith reigns, the reflection is plenty. The shift is never in the outer world first. It is always born within. A fearful mind chases. A faithful mind attracts. A fearful hand clings. A faithful hand receives. A fearful word doubts. A faithful word creates. Money flows to faith, not fear, because faith is the open door and money is always searching for an open way. To power is quiet alignment. Power is not in the loudness of a voice or the weight of a fist. It is in the stillness that does not waver. Real power does not rush, plead, or explain itself. It stands, anchored and unshakable, like a tree that knows its roots reach deeper than any passing storm. Alignment is the meeting point between the inner world and the outer world, where thought, word, and belief flow in one straight current. It is the silent agreement between what is felt within and what is declared without. When that agreement is pure and unwavering, power rises, not as a surge of force, but as a calm, steady tide that bends reality to match its rhythm. The world often confuses noise with strength. It celebrates the loud, the visible, the forceful. But real power has no need to prove itself. It does not demand attention, it commands it through presence alone. When a soul stands in quiet alignment, it becomes a magnet. People feel it before a word is spoken. Opportunities appear as if drawn by invisible threads. The world rearranges itself around the silent authority of one who is inwardly sure. The loud may shout to be heard, but the aligned are already felt. Alignment begins in the inner chamber of thought. When the mind, the heart, and the spirit speak the same language, they generate a frequency that does not falter. If the mind says one thing, the heart another, and the spirit remains uncertain, power leaks away through the cracks. But when thought says, "I am," the heart beats in agreement, and the spirit stands without doubt. Reality bends to match that note. True power does not depend on external proof. It moves from inward certainty. It does not ask the world to believe first. It believes, and the world has no choice but to follow. There is a difference between control and power. Control is grasping, clutching, forcing things to fit. Power is ease, a soft yet unyielding current. Control is rooted in fear, always needing to maintain a grip, always watching for loss. Power trusts alignment, knowing that what is aligned within cannot be taken without. Control builds walls, power opens gates. Control demands obedience, power inspires it. Control burns energy, power generates it. Quiet alignment is not passivity, it is not standing still out of fear of movement. It is movement in precision, like the silent orbit of stars, perfectly set, needing no applause, fearing no collapse. When the inner self is aligned, decisions flow without strain. There is no overthinking, no trembling, no desperate search for signs. The aligned soul moves as if the way is already paved, because in truth, it is. Power does not come from struggle. It comes from knowing. True power is the quiet certainty that what is meant will unfold. It does not rush to grab what belongs to it because it knows nothing can take it away. It does not bend under pressure because pressure cannot touch a foundation that is rooted in inner alignment. It does not swing wildly with every change of the wind because its roots are deeper than the storm's reach. It remains steady, and in that steadiness, the world feels its weight. The aligned mind does not need to convince anyone. It does not need to argue for its worth or shout its vision into the void. Its silence speaks louder than noise. It is like a tuning fork that vibrates so clearly that everything around it must either fall into harmony or move away. Power does not chase harmony. It becomes it, and everything else adjusts. When a soul is in quiet alignment, their words carry weight. A whisper becomes stronger than a shout. A single action, taken from that still center, creates waves wider than 1,000 scattered movements. Power multiplies itself through precision. Where the fearful scatter their energy in every direction, the aligned direct it like a beam of light. Sharp, unwavering, unstoppable. Alignment requires inner honesty. Power cannot stand on a divided foundation. One cannot speak abundance while believing in lack. One cannot declare love while harboring fear. One cannot affirm strength while feeding doubt. The universe responds not to the words on the tongue, but to the tone beneath them. Alignment is when there is no contradiction between the spoken word and the silent vibration. When the inner and outer match, the command is clean, and power obeys. Quiet power does not compare itself to others. It does not measure its worth by how loud or visible others may seem. A lighthouse does not race ships, it stands, and by standing it guides. The aligned soul is the lighthouse, unmoved by the waves. Its purpose is not to shout at the storm, but to hold its light steady, knowing that the world around it will find its course by that unwavering glow. True power comes from knowing one's source. It does not beg the world for validation. It does not depend on approval, applause, or permission. It does not require circumstance to be favorable before it moves. It is born from the quiet inner declaration, I am aligned. That declaration does not falter because it is not built on external ground. It stands on something deeper, something untouched by change. When alignment is complete, even silence speaks. The body language shifts, the eyes carry calm, the energy fills the room like an invisible field. It does not need armor, because nothing outside can pierce what is whole within. The aligned do not seek to overpower, they simply are power. They do not crush obstacles, they walk through them as if they are made of mist. Quiet power has patience. It does not panic in delay, nor does it shatter in uncertainty. It understands that the river does not question its own course. It flows, bends when needed, but always reaches the sea. Alignment does not crumble when others misunderstand. It does not tremble when appearances suggest lack. It stands, steady and silent, knowing that appearances are shadows that fade under the weight of true alignment. True power listens more than it speaks. It feels more than it reacts. It observes the storm without being pulled into its winds. It knows when to move and when to wait. It understands that movement without alignment is noise, and movement from alignment is impact. It trusts its timing. It trusts its rhythm. It trusts its silence. The aligned soul is not restless. It does not live in a hurry. It knows that what is aligned with it will come in perfect order. Power does not need to fight for space. It simply takes its place, and the world adjusts. Quiet alignment is not visible to all, but it is felt by all. It carries a gravity that does not need to speak its name. Power grows in silence. It does not boast about itself. It does not need to announce its presence. It does not collapse when ignored or doubted, because its strength does not depend on being seen. It is like the root of the mountain, unseen, but holding everything in place. When thought, word, and belief become one, the soul becomes unshakable. There is no hesitation, no fracture, no wasted motion. It does not fear the future because it stands aligned in the now. It does not replay the past because its anchor is deeper than memory. Its gaze is steady, its breath calm, its will clear. And in that stillness, the world moves. Respect mirrors self-worth. It is reflected back from the silent image a person holds of themselves. The way the world responds is a direct echo of the way the soul stands in its own presence. When someone knows their worth, not as a concept but as an unshakable truth, the universe bends its knee to that certainty. The tone of respect begins within, in the quiet chambers of thought where identity is formed. No amount of external praise can build it if the inner foundation is weak. No amount of external rejection can shatter it if the foundation is firm. Respect is not requested, it is recognized. Self-worth is not arrogance, nor does it demand attention. It is quiet dignity, the sense of standing tall without needing to look down on anyone else. It does not shrink to make others comfortable, and it does not rise to prove a point. It simply is. A person who holds their worth with ease walks into a room differently. Their presence speaks before their words do. People feel it, not because it is loud, but because it is steady. Respect flows to what is steady, to what is sure of itself, to what carries no doubt in its own value. When self-worth is weak, the world mirrors that weakness. It gives what it is told to give, and when the soul whispers uncertainty, the world responds with disregard. People overlook, dismiss, interrupt, and undervalue what has not claimed its own value. This is not cruelty from the outside, but reflection from the inside. Life has no choice but to reflect the image held within. The moment a person stops asking to be seen and begins seeing themselves fully, everything changes. The tone of conversations shifts. The way people look, speak, and react adjusts, without anyone needing to demand it. True self-worth does not come from titles, possessions, or achievements. Those can decorate the outside, but they cannot sustain the weight of respect. The kind of worth that draws genuine respect comes from an inner knowing that cannot be earned or taken. It is already present, waiting to be claimed. When one stops tying their worth to what they do and begins to anchor it in who they are, the ground beneath their feet becomes firm. They no longer bend in every storm, nor do they shrink under the weight of disapproval. Respect flows naturally to those who do not need permission to exist in their full stature. Respect is not forced. A forced demand for respect always carries a vibration of insecurity beneath it. It is an attempt to pull from the outside what has not been built on the inside. True respect is silent. It needs no announcement, no loud assertion, no constant proving. It lives in posture, in gaze, in stillness. People can sense when someone has found their center. They may not always like it, but they cannot ignore it. The mirror of respect begins with the words spoken to oneself. The mind is a room, and the voice inside that room is the architect of worth. If the inner voice speaks with doubt, criticism, and fear, the structure built is fragile. The world will press against it and it will bend. But when the inner voice speaks with strength, grace, and quiet authority, the structure stands. Self-respect is not given to oneself only when everything is perfect. It is held even in imperfection, because worth is not earned by being flawless. It is inherent, and the soul that remembers this stands taller, even in the valley. Respect from others often arrives after self-respect has been fully seated. Those who respect themselves set unspoken boundaries without needing to build walls. They do not allow disrespect to linger, not through anger, but through certainty. They do not need to shout, "I deserve more." They simply live as if they already do, and the world, being a mirror, adjusts its reflection. Many chase external validation, hoping that if others respect them enough, they will finally believe in themselves. But that path is endless, because mirrors cannot reflect what does not exist. The inner respect must come first. When someone sees their worth clearly, they stop begging for scraps of acknowledgement. They stop twisting themselves into smaller shapes to fit places that cannot hold their full size. They no longer tolerate what once broke them. Their silence becomes stronger than any argument. Self-worth is not loud. It is calm, like the surface of still water that reflects everything without losing its own clarity. It allows others to approach, but it does not allow them to disturb the depths. When others bring noise, the stillness does not crumble, it holds, and in that holding, respect grows. Those who once overlooked are forced to see, not because anything was demanded, but because the quiet strength leaves no room for dismissal. The energy of self-worth can be felt in the smallest gestures. The way someone stands, the way they speak their name, the way they hold their silence. These are the marks of how deeply they value themselves. One person can say nothing and command more respect than another who fills the air with pleas. Because respect listens not to volume, but to vibration. A soul anchored in self-worth does not envy. It does not need to compare or compete. It does not see another's rise as its own fall. It knows worth is infinite, not a resource to be fought over. This freedom from comparison makes the present stronger, calmer, more magnetic. People respect what does not chase. They respect what does not bow to insecurity. Disrespect from others no longer wounds deeply when self-worth is intact. It may sting the surface, but it cannot pierce the core. The aligned soul knows the difference between another's opinion and its own truth. It listens without absorbing. It stands without defending. Respect from others becomes a reflection, not a requirement. The moment a person fully claims their worth, their environment responds. Those who cannot match that frequency often drift away, and those who can rise to meet it appear. The change is not forced, it is natural, like water finding its level. People who carry their worth are not surrounded by respect because they demand it, but because they embody it. Self-worth has no need to prove itself. It does not bargain to be valued. It does not perform to be chosen. It does not shrink in the presence of power or inflate in the presence of weakness. It stays the same, steady and whole. Respect mirrors this steadiness because it recognizes strength that does not waver. The world treats people according to the energy they carry more than the words they speak. If someone walks with quiet certainty, they are met with weight. If they walk with hidden apology, they are met with dismissal. This is not cruelty, it is law. Mirrors do not choose what to reflect, they only reflect. A life built on self-worth does not beg for respect. It receives it naturally. It no longer seeks external approval as oxygen, it breathes from within. The posture changes, the gaze sharpens, the words slow down, the silence deepens, and as this inner stance becomes steady, the reflection grows clearer. Respect mirrors self-worth because the world cannot offer what has not been claimed. It is not something one earns through endless proving, it is something one becomes. The inner image writes the script, and the outer world reads it. Those who carry their worth silently shape the way others treat them without lifting a finger. They do not shout their value, they embody it, and embodiment has more power than any demand could ever hold. Love harmonizes all things. It is the great force that dissolves resistance, heals fractures, melts fear, and draws what is scattered into unity. It moves without noise, yet it reshapes everything it touches. Love is not a fragile emotion that depends on circumstance. It is a power, steady and radiant, flowing beneath the surface of all creation. Where love moves, chaos loses its footing. What was broken begins to find its way back into alignment. Love is the law of balance, the rhythm beneath every heartbeat, the silent thread holding the tapestry of existence together. When love enters a space, conflict begins to loosen its grip, not because the problems vanish at once, but because love removes the weight of fear, and without fear, walls begin to fall. Love is not blind. It sees everything clearly and still chooses harmony over judgment. It does not ignore the wound, it heals it. It does not deny the fracture, it mends it. It is the force that does not push but draws. It gathers what has been scattered, softens what has grown rigid, and quiets what has been loud. Love is not weakness, it is the greatest strength, for nothing stands unmoved before it. Fear tries to control, anger tries to dominate, pride tries to divide, but love moves without needing to fight. It enters silently, like light seeping through the cracks of a closed room. Darkness has no argument against light, it simply fades. So too, resistance fades when love holds steady. It is not a battle won through struggle, but a victory claimed through presence. The soul that stands in love becomes a tuning fork, radiating harmony that affects everything nearby. People feel it, even without words. Situations shift, not through force, but through quiet realignment. Where others would use control, love uses ease. Where others build walls, love opens doors. Where others tighten their grip, love extends its hand. This is why love is the ultimate harmonizer. It does not scatter energy outward into balance. To love is to align with the highest rhythm of existence. The universe itself moves in love, for love is not merely sentiment. It is the original language of creation. Every blade of grass grows by it. Every star shines through it. Every breath carries it. When the human heart aligns with that rhythm, it stops fighting against the current and begins to flow with it. And in that flow, what was tangled begins to untangle itself. Love does not demand perfection to exist. It thrives even in imperfection because its nature is to bring wholeness where there is fracture. Fear rejects imperfection. Judgment punishes it. But love embraces it, not to justify but to transform. A wound wrapped in love does not stay a wound for long. It softens, opens, and begins to close. Love does not rush healing. It holds space for it. And that holding is often more powerful than any forceful attempt to fix. In the presence of love, defenses lower. Even the most guarded hearts recognize it, for it speaks a language older than pain. Love does not argue with fear, it disarms it. It does not demand trust, it invites it. Its power lies not in noise, but in quiet consistency. While fear and anger burn quickly and fade, love burns steady and does not flicker in the wind. This steadiness creates harmony wherever it stands. Love harmonizes not only people but also the energy within an individual. It gathers the scattered pieces of the mind, the fragments of the heart, and the restless corners of the soul into one center. It quiets the inner storm not by suppressing it, but by being larger than it. When the soul remembers love, fear loses authority. Thoughts settle, emotions soften, breath deepens, and the world outside begins to reflect that inner stillness. When love is withheld, the world grows cold. People cling to defense, suspicion, and distance. But when love flows freely, even the roughest edges begin to smooth. This is not sentimentality, it is law. Love is the great equalizer. It speaks to what is true in everyone, beneath the armor, beneath the story, beneath the pain. It is the key that fits every lock, not because it forces doors open, but because it was never meant to be shut out. Love harmonizes power. Power without love becomes domination, but power with love becomes guidance. It harmonizes respect. Respect without love can turn into pride, but respect with love becomes honor. It harmonizes wealth. Money without love becomes greed, but money with love becomes abundance shared. Every element of life, when touched by love, aligns with something greater than itself. Love gives everything its true form. Love has no need to compete. It has no opposite that can destroy it. Fear is not its equal. Fear is its absence. Hatred is not its rival. It is love forgotten. And what has been forgotten can be remembered. Love does not strike at enemies. It makes enemies unnecessary. It does not conquer through force. It dissolves the need for the battle. Its victory is quiet but absolute. The soul filled with love sees differently. It looks at a broken situation and sees where the light can enter. It looks at a person in pain and sees the untouched wholeness behind the pain. It looks at a closed door and knows there is another way. This vision harmonizes because it refuses to feed discord. It chooses to feed what is whole, even in the middle of what seems fractured. Love is not always soft in form, but it is always steady in essence. Sometimes it speaks gently, sometimes firmly, sometimes silently. But in every form its intention is harmony. It does not speak to prove, it speaks to align. It does not correct to dominate, it corrects to heal. Its firmness is not rooted in pride, but in truth, and truth wrapped in love can enter where force cannot. Love harmonizes time. Where fear rushes, love is patient. Where doubt delays, love moves steadily. It does not panic at delay, nor does it give up when things seem still. It trusts the rhythm of the unseen. Its patience is not weakness but wisdom, for it knows harmony is not built in haste. When love fills a person, it spills into everything they touch. Their words carry warmth. Their silence carries presence. Their actions weave connections instead of cutting ties. People feel safer, calmer, more themselves in the orbit of such a presence. It is not that the person is extraordinary, it is that love speaks through them without obstruction. Love harmonizes even the relationship between the self and the world. It quiets the urge to fight everything outside, replacing it with a knowing that there is no separation. When the soul sees itself in all things, judgment loses its power. The lines drawn between me and them begin to fade, not in weakness, but in clarity. Love does not erase individuality, it weaves it into a greater whole. The greatest harmonies are born not from perfection, but from love holding imperfection with grace. It does not need everything to be right to flow. It flows to make things right. It is the thread that turns discord into music, fracture into form, storm into stillness. Those who carry it become instruments of quiet change. Love does not fear distance, darkness, or delay. It reaches without rushing. It waits without weakening. It remains steady even when everything else trembles. In its presence, fear begins to dissolve, chaos begins to quiet, and harmony begins to rise. This is its nature. Love harmonizes all things because nothing stands outside its reach. It does not choose what to heal, it simply flows, and what it touches finds its way back to wholeness. Friends are reflections of vibration every soul carries. A frequency, an unseen tone that speaks louder than words. This tone is what draws certain people closer and quietly lets others drift away. Friends are never accidents. They are mirrors held up by the universe, showing back what lives within. When someone grows, the mirror shifts. When the inner frequency rises or falls, the circle around them begins to change in response. Friendship is not built only on shared experiences, but on silent resonance. Two souls meet not just in time and place, but in vibration. Every thought, belief, and emotion emits a signal. People who share similar signals recognize each other instinctively. There is a sense of ease, an unspoken understanding, a natural alignment. No amount of pretending can create true friendship where the vibration does not match. People may stand in the same room, speak the same language, even share the same history, but without resonance, the bond remains thin. On the other hand, when vibrations meet, even silence feels full. Friends mirror what someone carries inside. If the inner world is filled with self-respect, abundance, and peace, the friends that appear will reflect those qualities. They will uplift, not drain. They will grow with, not against. If the inner world is filled with fear, doubt, or self-neglect, the friendships that form may reflect those shadows, not as punishment, but as a reflection waiting to be recognized. The quality of friendships often reveals the vibration one is holding more clearly than the words one speaks. Friendship is energy meeting energy. Those who carry light attract others who carry light. Those who walk in heaviness find others who share that same weight. This is why some bonds feel effortless and others require constant struggle. The bond that is born from alignment does not need constant convincing to stay alive. It moves naturally, like water flowing in its channel. The bond born from misalignment demands energy, negotiation, compromise, that drains rather than builds. As a person evolves, their vibration changes, and so does their circle. Some friends who once felt like home may begin to drift, not because of conflict, but because the mirror no longer reflects the same image. The connection that once fit like a key in a lock may no longer turn. This is not loss, it is movement. As the inner frequency rises, new mirrors appear, new friends whose presence matches the new tone. True friendship is not possession, it is resonance. It does not need to be held tightly because it is held naturally by alignment. When two vibrations match, distance cannot weaken the bond, silence cannot break it, and time cannot erase it. It stands steady because it does not rely on constant proof. It simply exists, like two notes in harmony, ringing clear even when far apart. Friends often reveal truths about oneself that words cannot. They are like quiet teachers, not always through their actions, but through what their presence stirs within. The friend who inspires growth is a mirror of untapped strength. The friend who challenges is a mirror of what still needs healing. The friend who understands without explanation is a mirror of shared frequency. Every bond carries a reflection, and those reflections are invitations to see more clearly what lives within. When someone holds their worth, they no longer accept friendships that diminish them. Their vibration naturally repels those who seek to take without giving. There is no need for loud confrontations or explanations. The energy itself creates distance where alignment no longer exists. Likewise, when someone is lost in self-doubt, they may find themselves surrounded by those who mirror that same uncertainty. Shifting the inner tone shifts the outer company. Friendship built on vibration has a rhythm. It does not demand constant performance. It breathes easily, expands without fear, contracts without resentment. It allows space. It trusts silence. It grows stronger through understanding rather than endless proving. This rhythm is what makes certain friendships last across years and miles, even when life changes everything else. The vibration remains steady and the bond flows with it. Friends also reflect the season a soul is in. Some arrive as mirrors of lessons, others as mirrors of joy. Some come to build bridges, others to close chapters. Not every friend is meant to stay forever, and not every bond fades because it failed. Sometimes the reflection is complete, the lesson is learned, and the vibration moves to a new frequency. Understanding this brings peace where once there was attachment. When one's vibration is centered in love, respect, and clarity, the friendships that grow from that space are luminous. They do not feed on insecurity or competition. They do not thrive on drama or constant proof. They are easy, nourishing, steady. They celebrate rather than compare, support rather than drain, and grow rather than hold back. These friendships are not many, but they are true. They are rare not because love is rare, but because clarity is rare. To cultivate better friendships, one must first cultivate the vibration that attracts them. Chasing people does not create true connection. Becoming aligned with one's own truth does. When someone stands firmly in who they are, without fear or pretense, they become a clear tone in the world. Those who match that tone find their way effortlessly. This is why the strongest friendships often form in silence, without force or strategy. Friendship is not a transaction, it is a reflection. The energy given is the energy received. If someone offers honesty, openness, and kindness, they tend to attract the same. If they carry fear of betrayal, they often find mirrors that challenge that fear. The universe listens more to vibration than words. What someone claims to want may not match what their energy actually calls in. Shifting the inner call changes who answers. Friends reveal growth. The ones who match your higher vibration show how far you've risen. The ones who fall away show where the frequency once was. There is no bitterness in this understanding, only clarity. Every friend along the way was a reflection of a chapter, a tone, a vibration. Some mirrors were soft, some were sharp, but all were honest. Friendships that arise from alignment create harmony around them. They strengthen purpose, sharpen vision, and calm storms. They do not add noise to life, but bring music. They do not demand constant fixing because they are born from a shared note. When two souls carry similar frequencies, their presence together amplifies what each already holds. It is like two flames that do not steal from each other but burn brighter side by side. A soul that knows its worth no longer fears being alone because it understands that the right mirrors will always arrive at the right time. Loneliness comes when one seeks mirrors in misaligned places. Peace comes when one stands in their vibration and lets alignment do the choosing. Real friends do not need to be chased or convinced. They are drawn by resonance. This is why forcing friendships never creates harmony. When two frequencies do not match, the bond may exist in form, but not in depth. It feels like pushing two notes together that do not belong in the same chord. There is friction, confusion, misalignment, and no amount of effort can replace the ease that comes from true resonance. Friends are reflections of vibration, and because vibration is fluid, friendships are living things. They grow, change, evolve, shift. When someone rises in their own frequency, their circle often becomes smaller but clearer, fewer mirrors but brighter ones. Less noise, more music. This is not isolation but refinement. The most powerful friendships are not those that simply stand the test of time, but those that continue to resonate through every transformation. When vibration changes and the bond remains, it means both souls have chosen growth together. They are no longer just mirrors. They are instruments playing in the same symphony, weaving their tones into something greater than either alone. Every friend is a reflection, every circle a map of vibration. When the inner tone is clear, the outer world echoes it. There is no confusion about who belongs and who does not. The vibration does the choosing. It draws, it repels, it aligns, it harmonizes. True friendship begins not with finding the right people, but with becoming the right frequency. When that happens, reflection is inevitable.